This conference will now be recorded.
Rise with the pledge, and the young Boy Scouts are going to lead us in the pledge of allegiance tonight.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful weather that you have given us. We pray that you keep us in a godly manner. We pray that you help us make the right decisions for the town of Boonsburg and the townspeople. We ask this in all of Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Maybe we better pray for the mayor's wife.
Looks like all the council's here. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the February 10th regular meeting and the February 24th workshop meeting?
Yes, and I did have one comment. Well, I sent a couple times, but I think Terry said you'd already sent him some comments. Was it the workshop meeting where we talked about the smart first? Was that the regular meeting? I don't know. Eric had said he sent it out to all the council and didn't get any responses back, but I did respond.
You did.
So I took a little,
Yeah.
Yeah, during the workshop, you had put that you didn't get any responses back, but I did respond back. I don't know if anybody else neglected to, but I did.
Oh, God.
I just wanted to comment that. So maybe you could put that I responded and no one else did. Shame on you all.
Do we have a motion to accept the regular minutes and the workshop minutes?
I'll make a motion with Councilwoman Marilee's corrections.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion, a second, on approving the minutes as corrected? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained. Motion carries. Treasury report.
Sure. So we start off with the general fund. The general fund had a ledger balance of $3,810,000, $694.83. Major things that happened in the month of January. We had collected $15,969 in real estate tax payments. We still have a remaining $45,197.78 to collect. Personal property tax payments received totaling $1,382.49. And February 2025 local tax distribution received totaling $140,681.18. FY25 second quarter admissions and amusements received totaling $7,193.62. And December 2024 hotel motel taxes received totaling $2,384.76. We also received franchise fees from both Antietam Cable and Comcast totaling $7,391.89. And we received $100,000 from Maryland ARC grant reimbursement for the Schaefer Park Well project. And that is due to go into the water fund for distribution there in the month of March. We also deposited CDs from Fulton Bank into the general fund totaling $263,604.20. And we paid Mead and Hunt their 11th and 12th invoices as part of the cultural trail feasibility study totaling $8,077.50. After that invoice, there is still $8,992.53 remaining to bill on that contract. This project is part of the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund grant. And after these invoices, we still have $9,242.53 to be spent. The restricted funds balance at the end of February, the general ledger had a balance of $355,276.85. There wasn't any action with that account in the month of February until interest earned of $764.19. Our payroll account is usually just a sweep account where we pay our employees. There is a balance of $300 due to one outstanding check that had not been cashed.
That's me, and I didn't.
Well, way to go.
I know, I'm sorry. I kind of saw that on the report and I had to dig for it. It's cash now.
It's okay. It's all right. Our certificates of deposit had an ending balance of $2,123,636.34. And the actions that we had there, we did take the $263,000 out and we put that in the general fund because Fulton Bank is going to be closing and those CDs came due, so we moved that money. Middletown Valley Bank also has a CD there for the Schaefer Park, Friends of Schaefer Park, with a balance of $56,636.34. And we also have Wells Fargo CDs totaling $2,067,000. Yes. And we also have a money market account with Wells Fargo with $28,478.78. On the water fund. The water fund ended the general ledger balance of $1,061,039.26. During the month of February, we received $79,524.99 in water, sewer, and sanitation collections. We also paid WRA their 10th invoice as part of the Crestview Bypass project for design and engineering for $2,336.81. And after that invoice, there is a remaining balance to be billed of $35,761.75. We also paid Phillips and Son for the work at the Schaefer Park well replacement project, totaling $161,840.26, and those costs are going to be submitted for reimbursement under our ARC grant money. The water fund restricted user fees bank account and general ledger for the end of February was $2,641,584.11. The only action in that account was interest earned was $3,015.92. The American Rescue Plan funds had a general ledger balance of $2,362,793.72. We did pay WRA their 32nd invoice as part of the reservoir replacement project for design and engineering, totaling $813.82. After that invoice, there is still a $1,475.25 remaining to be billed on the original contract of $315,525. We also paid WRA their first and second invoices as part of the reservoir replacement project for the construction and engineering, totaling $4,522.37. And after that invoice, there is still a balance of $45,477.63 on the remaining of the change order contract of $50,000. The sewer fund had an ending balance of $217,410.20. The only thing that we had there for the month of February, we replaced a pump there at Route 34 pump station with a vertical dry pit pump totaling $28,503.56. And the last account is the sewer fund restricted user fees, had an ending balance of $307,667.20. And the only action in that account was interest earned of $661.79. That's all we have.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a comment. Didn't Jason ask us to do, the auditor ask us to do these recaps?
Yes.
Okay, so this just occurred to me. So do we need to maybe make that as an addendum or attachment to our minutes so he knows that we've included them? Because was that what his point was, that they had to be in the minutes? Or I'm just curious, because I know they go back and look at
He didn't say that
minutes.
they needed to be in the minutes. He
Okay.
just said that we should do a more detailed recap. And we
Okay, I
do
just don't
post
know
it,
how he's gonna know
Yeah.
to do that
And we
unless,
do post it on the
I know,
website.
that's why I was
So-
curious if we needed to make,
I should have asked, I'll talk to him.
if we need to
Should
make
have
a
asked.
comment or even just.
Well,
minutes.
he's pretty good. He'll like watch the videos and he
Okay,
does
so
all
as
that.
long as I just want to make sure we're covering what he asked us to do, or if we need to like put it in minutes. Perfect. Sorry, thanks.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the February treasurer's
I
report.
have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Did somebody already say?
No.
Now we got a motion and a second. Sorry, I jumped the gun there.
That's okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
I just want to make one other comment with the finances, just so that everybody knows, Wells Fargo, we are going to be moving everything from them. And I am in the middle of getting things situated with wealth enhancement. All the information that they required and requested has been submitted, and we're just waiting for Mitch with wealth enhancement to give us the green light so that we can make that transfer. Everything that we have in our holdings will transfer, and they use the term in kind. So any of our CDs that are not ready to mature, they just pick them up and move them over, and they just continue in the same ladder procedure way that we have them running. So, but we're getting closer.
And did we say this is because Wells Fargo is no longer
Able
handling
to handle
municipal
any of
accounts?
our, right,
It's
any of our
nothing
finances.
other than that we now had to go to a new.
And that's why we're making the move. But anyway, that's everything I have right now.
Here we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Public comments. We have
One
one.
individual
There's a
sign.
smile on there.
Please come up and state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Yes. Turn that microphone around if you would, and speak nice and clear.
My name is Bill Wolford. I live at 21 Central Main Street. I'm here to speak about the issue with the exhaust, or fryer exhaust. Mini-mart restaurant, I assume, is next to it. I live with my daughter and my son-in-law, Lee Dockerty and Joanna Dockerty. They left this morning for a long planned vacation, so they asked me to sit here and speak to you this evening. And I thank you for your courtesy for doing it. We learned maybe 10 days ago that the building permit to install the exhausts had been approved by the county permits and inspection department. And my son-in-law contacted them, spoke to the administrator and asked, about the 10-foot restrictions to the property line and the power line. And he said he had the power to waive that. On Friday then, this past week, my son-in-law called the fire marshal's office. And he said that the permit application had been dumped in his lap the day before. Now, this was after the planning, or the permits and inspection department for the county had approved the building permit. So my son-in-law pointed out to him, because he wasn't sure about the specific references to the 10-foot restrictions in both cases. And he looked at that, and then on Friday, he denied the permit application. And our understanding of the process for the building permit is to also seek a zoning review to see whether or not it's approved by the zoning ordinance planning commission. I assume or would review that. And I guess we're a little bit confused now. My son-in-law did appeal the planning, or the building permits and inspection department decision to approve the paid $250 fee, and that hearing is scheduled for the 19th. So we're trying to put together or pull together the process and who is involved. Planning commission, the buildings and permits department does have the approval to approve the permit. However, the fire marshal has raised a safety issue, which we are also going to ask the appeals board for permits and inspections, that takes precedence over any other issue that exhaust could cause. So the 19th, we have that appeal. The fire marshal, I don't know why he was not included in the process for review prior to the building and permits department issuing the approval. But we hope to convince the appeals board that the 10-foot restrictions should be required. They can't be met where the location of the exhaust is now. And the fire marshal's decision to deny the permit from a safety standpoint. So we just wanted to bring the council and mayor and council up to date as where we are and try to sort out the different layers of review and approval that you need to go through to get that permit approved.
Sometimes it takes quite a while with the permits department, but it's nice to hear that you got the fire marshal behind you.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm just,
So hopefully he can convince of the safety factor and make them move it.
I don't know whether there was a delay in asking the fire marshal's review from the permits department, but thankfully it has happened now and we're satisfied with his opinion.
And for your own information, back the 19th at 3 p.m., it's at the county administration building on the second floor.
Do you have any questions about?
No, I hope you get it rectified because that is an eyesore and it is too close to the property line.
Is it 2 feet?
Yeah, and that's not.
Now that overhead power line too that goes through there. It's above the exhaust, so if a fire ever did happen, it'd burn the line down.
Oh, yeah.
Did they actually come down and inspect it?
What's
Did
that?
they actually come down to inspect it
The
or?
fire marshal?
No, not the fire marshal, the guy that did the permit
We don't know.
inspector, I guess.
The administrator, I'm sure, didn't himself, but his staff.
It just doesn't sound like they actually went down and looked at it.
We're concerned that why, it wasn't sent to the fire marshal while they were reviewing it also.
Did you ask the fire marshal to be there at the appeal?
But that,
Did you ask the fire marshal to be there at the appeal?
no, but I think he sent this in writing. He's going
Okay.
to send.
I would at least have a copy.
Right.
The appeal is only for the permits and inspections. It's not related to the fire, they're completely separate, so.
But I would think that would be some kind of evidence you could give.
Sure. Yeah, we plan to.
Okay.
So Rachel, I don't know if this is a you question or a Drew question. I noticed Drew on the zoning report, which we haven't got there yet, but.
Right.
It talks about the county is requiring resubmittal and relocation. So is that because of this?
We've asked that. That's another question, now what happens if the permit is denied? Does she have to remove the equipment that's been installed? I guess that goes to the appeals board, that question.
So Eric, I believe that that's been on Drew's report for a while because that was what I was told a while ago.
Okay. So do any of us plan on, is it appropriate for any of us to attend this hearing on the 19th?
Public hearing, anybody can
Public
go
hearing,
through it.
anybody can go.
We appreciate your support in the past and hopefully
Hopefully it'll get
this issue can
rectified.
be resolved soon.
Yes,
Thank you.
not later, soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have several guests in the audience tonight. Gentlemen, would you like to stand up and introduce yourself and tell us the truth you're with, excuse me. And introduce your scout.
My name's Jackson Rail, I'm two trooper. And there's Mr. Kevin, is our scoutmaster, Mr. Tony, Mr. Rocky. My name's Ollie. Operator, Ollie Rich.
Y'all are here for Meredith Babb and your troop number.
252.
We don't fight.
My name is Grant Blackhill. I'm here with Troop 252, and I'm doing the Citizenship and Community Merit Badge, which requires me to talk with y'all for certain questions about the subject with the meeting.
Can you speak up a little louder?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ron Kaufman. I'm a part of Troop 252.
Mine's always turned up.
Yeah, his mic's already.
Public speaking is not fun.
Get
Used to it.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Do you have questions for us yet?
I have a special honor tonight. Could I have Chris Hawkins and her family come up here, please? You're killing me.
Come on, JR.
Oh, come on, JR, you're the youngest one. No, you're not. No, you're not. I forgot.
No,
Come up here. Nah, he's all right. Okay. I have here a certificate of appreciation to present to Chris Hawkins with sincere gratitude for your extraordinary services and dedication and serving on the park board, Boonesboro Park Board. Thank you for hard work, leadership, commitment to making our town what it is today. Presented this 10th day of February 2025. Oops. Today is March 10th.
Well, we'll redo it.
We were supposed to do it last month.
We were supposed to do
We were
last
supposed
month.
to do it last month. That's fine.
Signed Howard W. Long, Mayor of the town of Boonesboro.
Just make sure we get your makeup thing for fishing.
Oh, you will. We will. Would you like to say a few words? Introduce your guest.
Oh. If I was to keep it down. Okay, I will. This is my son, JR, you've already seen. This is my son-in-law, Jeff Spencer, my daughter, Andrea, Kylie, my granddaughter, and Trenton, my grandson. She's in 9th grade, he's in 11th. And anyway, I want to tell you.
You're 4th grade? Oh, okay.
I want to tell you that I really appreciate this, but my husband, when he was alive, and myself, we've always loved doing things for children. And the fishing derby and the old time Christmas with Santa, I really didn't need this. It's so nice. But the working with children is what I've always done. I started off as an educator. I came to work as a children's librarian here in this room. And before I left, we had our new library over on South Main. No, that was
34.
34. You can see I really know my way around town. Anyway, but the town really supported us and the county, and we were lucky to get that library. It's so much nicer. I mean, I didn't mind this one. I came here as a children's library, and that used to be the children's room. And I worked with Becky and Jane, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that, and like I said, I really don't need to be thanked for working with children. That's my life. I enjoy it. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, yeah. I gotta get my coffee.
Thank you.
Was I okay?
You were wonderful. Can we fix the date on that for you? No. Are you sure? No. Okay, this is fine.
Thank you all. Have a good evening. Yeah. Good Lord, well, the creek has run. Red drop, I'll leave it. I know. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, under facilities report, Greg Hunsberry, You probably have a report for him.
I can just record.
Okay. Greg, please keep Greg and his family in his prayer. He lost his grandmother. She passed away. That's why Greg's not here this evening, and you probably won't see him for a couple of days. So please keep Greg in your prayers.
I think if he was here, he would report that, we've had a couple of leaks lately. One was off of Mapleville Road, and then another that was back on Kearns Drive. It was back in that neighborhood. But the crew got it all straightened out. They had to hand dig both of them, which took most of the day, but because there were utility lines everywhere, they had to hand dig. Also, he had reached out to Huntsberry Brothers for an update on the walking trail, and they had claimed that they were hoping to come this week, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Rachel. Water and sewer, Pete?
Oh, Waterside, running pretty smooth still. The only thing, I'm still waiting on the pump for Keysville Spring House. That was a 20 to 24 waiting period to get it, so weeks. So probably 5-6 months. It's been like 2, so I still probably got 3-4 more months here before I can get that. The pump station we had redone there last month, it's still operating good. It's doing great on the sewer side. The issue that I have with the decanter, I got it settled and fixed out there. They won't have that anymore. That's working good now. And also for the water side, for Phillips, they are supposed to going to come in tomorrow. They got the line dug for the new electrical line and everything done over to the plant. Tomorrow they're going to come and get dug out and get everything ready to hook up to the existing pipe that we have, so we don't have to cut the back up again. So they're just going to dig over to where the old well is, hook into that area for the new line, water line going in, and they're hoping to get that all dug out and get it ready, and then get it all put in. Just wait to hook it up. But then we'll have to wait for the electrician for them to get it lined up with them two together. There's a $9,000 amp that had to be bought for that thing. It goes inside the wood, just for a little breaker. $9,000 for it. So they finally got it in. It took them 3 weeks to get it. That's what it's been taking. The weight has been caused for this time. Now he's got it all. I hope to get in tomorrow, get that done, and get it arranged with Jeremy. Hopefully by the end of the week or middle of next week, it should be all done and clear, hooked up and finished.
Good. Anybody have any questions of Pete? Thank you, sir.
I do have a remark though about Huntsberry, and I didn't notice that, stone down, because when we had a meeting February 10th, Greg said that they were going to come back next week, which would have been the 17th, to install 3 inches. And this is 1 week short of a month later, and it's still in the dump. I mean, all the work we give them, and they can't come and put 3 inches, and it isn't like we've had a lot of rain to stop them.
So they have to put 6 inches total. They did put 3 in so it wouldn't be muddy, and then they have 3 more to do. So was that the initial 3, or was
They
that?
will be coming back next week to install the additional 3 inches.
Yeah, and it's only been the first coat installed.
Right.
They actually had to wait for the weather to break, didn't they?
Not to put stone down.
Well, yeah, I
It
think,
rained that one day.
I think they're not being very responsive either, right?
And we give them a lot of work.
We're not the only ones experiencing issues.
And do you know, I wondered, when Boonesborough School Complex had the water loss up there, do you know if anybody was billed for that?
It will just be counted as loss, right?
So we have to pay for all that water,
If it doesn't go
all the
through-
water that was
If it
lost.
doesn't go through their meter, it's on us.
No, it's part of our labor, more people were up there. Once your time, working some time. Greg and I had that conversation about making sure that we get compensated for that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Pete. Town manager, Rachel?
The Appalachian Trail Committee is working on hosting a stamp dedication event, which will be at South Mountain State Park, and it will be April 25th at 11 a.m. This is an event that actually the U.S. Postal Service reached out to us about, so it will be pretty big. They're doing these things nationally, so ours will be April 25th. And then Yvette mailed out letters to residents who would potentially be affected by traffic changes for the reservoir project. When we sent the letters, it was just to indicate that there would be traffic changes, we just didn't know when or what they would be. We do know at this point that the contractor, HRI, did manage to get approval to close the road intermittently, so they're going to keep in communication with us about when it's gonna be closed so that we can try to keep everyone informed. It's not going to be for the whole 500-day project, it's just going to be as needed, so just wanna make sure everybody knows that. Oh, and then, see, that was done. With the treasurer's report, the Phillips invoice that you had said was going to be submitted for reimbursement, we've already gotten the reimbursement for that, so just a couple days lapse there, but that was our final ARC reimbursement for the well. So that's all of our grant funding for that. And then along the lines of ARC funding, I submitted a project proposal for $250,000 for the FY '26 round of ARC funding, which will, if we're awarded, we'll use that for I&I. It's a 50% match, so you'll see in the budget that there's $250,000 set aside for that. If we would be chosen, it's kind of a long process, but if we would be chosen, we wouldn't get the money till like next May, like 2026 May. And then I will be seeking quotes for a new fence around the wastewater treatment plant. That was budgeted in FY '25, so we want to get that done while we still have the funding for it. And I've also started to get quotes for the construction testing for the reservoir. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody got any questions of Rachel? Hearing none, town planner, Drew?
I sent y'all my monthly staff reports for planning and zoning. They're still drafting the comp plan. I may mention that there is a developer named Wesley Poss, Verdant Development Corporation, is working to try and develop a master plan that would include the following projects: TT&K, Lakin, and Look. Verdant has said they'll be reaching out to these property owners to see if they would be interested in working together for one master plan, which would certainly from a standpoint of long-term planning be nice. You have some traffic engineers and some other people that are working on some plans. When they get the plans ready, if the other people involved would be interested, they wanted to set up a meeting with the council just to talk about their ideas before they submit anything, before they do anything. But they told me that they needed to reach out to the property owners to see if they were even in favor of doing that. But again, the idea was you've got a whole side of the town there that has been annexed and it's just sitting there. And when I asked the question, you know, what are you talking about development time-wise? He's like 20, 30 years. Okay. That's kind of what you all have kind of nodded your heads and said, that sounds not unreasonable. That's not 2002 years or something ridiculous or something like that. Again, it's his dime. He's talking to these people. It's his cost. It's his. That's up to him. If he could coordinate all three of them and it all works out and he presents a plan to the town that the town likes, that's not a bad deal. But so we'll see where that goes. It's pie in the sky ideas right now, but that's how they all start. No change with King Road Associates, Baldwin Estates, no change. They have all their permits. I've told you before, they can start at any time. I have gotten some phone calls from attorneys and a few other people asking questions about the status of the plans. That might tell me that something's going to happen, but I don't know who, don't know when, don't know that. Preserve at Fox Gap, they're pouring the sidewalks. They did the sidewalks, they did the curb and gutter. Or do they accepted the water and sewer? That has been done. You guys are going to be talking about that later, so I'm not going to get into a lot of discussion about that. Fletcher's Grove submitted revised final plats to both the Planning Commission and the Washington County Public School System. We made changes to those plans. Those plans were sent back to us. They have some more questions. Rachel reached out to them today and said, let's just sit down, let's meet. Let's just meet tomorrow. So we're going to meet tomorrow, work this out, figure out what the heck is the concern or issues. We are also working with Mr. McElwee as well as Mr. Dillo on the construction of the building. Dean South, construction anticipated spring, probably by April. They hope to have their permits. Again, no comment from 50 St. Paul Street. Kefner property, no change there. Reservoir project, the grading permits and utility permits were issued. So they've actually started up there. If you go up Bloomsboro Mountain Road, first thing they did is they have to clear the trees out. Because the trees were growing exactly where the reservoir was. So they had to clear all those out. It is a different look when you come around the side of that turn. If you don't see those trees there, it does grab your attention a little bit. Also be careful up there. They've staked out the road for the water line construction. Remember, they're going to do water line construction first. So that's what they're going to be geared up for when they start. Auction house, they are fully hooked up to town public sewer. They are fully hooked up. They are hooked up to the town's public sewer system. They actually went live last week. So, and I believe all the fees were collected with the tap fees and all that, correct? Yes, yeah.
The Vantage should be opening anytime.
So what happens now is, now that they're connected to public sewer, all the rest of their permits can be let go. And what you saw them doing out there over the weekend or the last week, they were digging out the old tank, the septic tank. The drain field was actually down over in the field that wasn't even on their property. Again, a long time ago, things were done very differently, but they had to take the tank out. That's why you saw them digging all that stuff out. They had to take the septic tank out. His plan is to build an outdoor deck area and seating area out there in that area. But the rest of his permits, he can now start getting. So now it's just going to be a question of getting the rest of them. So my understanding is that the permits office basically let him get as close to final as he could get, but nobody would do the final inspections until he was hooked to public sewer, which they got last week.
Sure, why can't take the old tank out? The seniors put that in, it's not that old. It's just something that can't stay, you can't let it. Just leave it.
I don't think they wanted the liability. I think they just wanted it out. If they're going to have a deck above it and people eating, you don't want a tank like that leaking, that probably wouldn't be the best thing. I think they might just want to get it out of there. I didn't ask about that. Schaefer Park, you guys already talked about that. There is some stone down there, but yes, you guys just talked about that. Crestview high pressure bypass, designs at about 75%. That's the high pressure line over here. We needed easement through the HOA through Crestview. Rachel and I met with their board of directors. They are required to take a vote. The directors are okay with presenting it. They don't have a problem with it, but they have to take a vote. That vote is actually going to take place here. We offered this room for them to be able to meet and hold their regular meeting to vote on it. We will be here to answer questions, etc. I got a list of questions today from the climate management, who does the management for the HOA. They had a series of questions to be prepared for. So I'm going to respond to them now. And just people are like, well, is this going to change the value of my home? No, it's not going on anyone's private property. In fact, if anything, it makes things better. You know, I mean, they're just questions that people have, you know, is this going to cause my water and sewer rates to go up? You know, all those kind of questions. So, you know, again, we need that easement to be able to run that water line, so this is important. I don't think that there's going to be a problem until the final vote comes. Who knows? But that'll be, I don't have a date off the top of my head. March 19th sticks in my head, but I'm not sure that's the date. Is it,
No, it's April.
Is it April? It's April something? Yes. They'll be here for that. We'll let you know how that goes. Again, we're going to continue moving forward with the design because along with the design, we've got to go through the whole permit process again. That's just what happens. So, that's most of planning. Zoning, pretty uneventful. You guys talked about the exhaust ban. We had those discussions. Any questions?
Just one.
Go ahead.
Are you gonna put a description on the permits? We talked about what the actual permit was applied for.
Oh, the date applied for it, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I apologize.
Thank you.
I had maybe two FYI type things.
Okay.
I was listening to the radio today and they talked about concert tickets for sale for an Aerosmith tribute band. And I was sort of just halfway listening. It's at Vantage Hall in Doonesboro. So I guess that's coming.
You have a date?
I didn't catch the date. But,
Sounds like town meeting.
Why bring it?
yeah. so,
I thought
They
it was
already had- they had an
like
ACDC
something. Rachel, I thought it was
Yeah, they
like-
already had that, yeah. They have a pretty good crowd for that.
He's always been known for doing very good at controlling his crowds and doing his own security. I mean, so it's his pretty much rap sheet in Frederick. They're kind of partnered with Brownsville, the MMA school, and that's who he uses for his security guys. So, yeah, it's usually not a police concern, it is establishment.
Yeah.
So,
And number two, related to 50 St. Paul, there's nothing for you to do, but someone here in the audience told me that this past Saturday, they were having an open house. So we went up and walked through the house that he and I did. And I asked about all these inspection stickers all over the windows, and the realtor said, well, to her understanding, they've all been addressed. And I only checked one of them, which was the electric going into the garage. I had noted that was a mess before, and they did fix it. I looked at that, and when we went in the basement, I'm not sure about this, but it looked to me like the sump pump may have been going into the sewer system.
Fairly, that happens frequently, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, and they're not supposed to do that, but it's kind of going in the wall and you can't tell where it's going, but I had to bet. But anyway, they want $650,000.
$624,999.
Oh, it's, it's outrageous what they want for that place. They're gonna have it a long time. But anyway, we've not looked through it. Anything you want to throw in there? So anyhow, if you're looking for a nice big house for over 600K, there you go.
Drew, do you know what the holdup is with that shed? Is Josh, he can't get the product or what?
Actually got more complicated than that. So Mr. McElwee, he had a 20 by 20 shed. We were gonna replace the shed.
Right.
And so we contacted Josh to get a price for a 20 by 20. And then Mr. McElwee came back and said, well, can we get a price on a 30 by 40?
Right.
And we said, oh, okay, but we weren't sure, no one's determined who's paying for that. I mean, it's been our opinion from our point that we were replacing 20 by 20. So we asked Josh to give us a price on a 20 by 20 that matches what he has, and then get us a price on 30 by 40, which is what Mr. McElwee asked for. We are waiting for Josh Dillon to get back to us with those prices so that we can take them to Mr. McElwee and say, here's the difference. Who's paying it? We're assuming you are, since we're buying the land. We'll pay, like, for example, the pole building, the 20 by 20 was $20,000, and the 30 by 40 was $60,000. The town would pay him 20, he could pay the rest. That was at least where the town was thinking we're coming from. We've already agreed to a price, and he didn't seem to balk at that when I talked to him about it. We just don't have the prices from Josh.
I'm just surprised what's taking so long. I mean, you just figure out the difference and, you know.
They have to call the manufacturers, they have to get the specifics. Like, it took me a week to get Mr. McElwee and Mr. Dillon to connect. Even though I was giving each other their phone numbers, calling them both. I mean, these guys need to connect because he's the one identifying it. I laid out the building foundation, I laid out all the pieces, I laid out everything I could, but Josh has got to get the information. So that's what I'm waiting on. Now we can reach out to another contractor, but Josh, once you get him on the schedule, he does come out and get it done.
Anybody else have any questions of Drew? Thank you, sir. Police Department, Chief.
All right, guys, just the legit audit, the little minor adjustments we had was actually putting up some exit signs at maybe 2 or 3 doors and hanging 2 fire extinguishers, and that has all been taken care of. The actual melee at Alex's, Robbie, I'll let you. The Alex fiasco.
The melee, I talked to Jim Sword today. He talked to the state's attorney's office. We are going to end up adding a charge of assault for the 16-year-old girl because she basically started it. She come out running, throwing her hands up. She also is facing a first-degree assault charge in another case at the high school. And Sword found out she has another assault charge in West Virginia. Mom and Dad think she's an angel and was upset that a woman placed hands on their kid. But if you watch the video from Alex's, it clearly shows her coming out of the store, waving her arms, yelling as the one person, the oldest son is trying to leave. He gets out, comes out, an argument ensues. The mother of the boys is in the middle of it, trying to break it up. And her youngest son then pushes the 16-year-old girl's boyfriend, and the 16-year-old just starts throwing haymakers. Everybody was charged with affray and disorderly, but we are going to add the charges of assault with the young girl, and I believe assault with the boy that pushed the other one to start it.
Is the spitting being charged as an assault?
I'm sorry?
She spit, is that being charged as an, because I brought that up.
Who
Yeah.
spit?
Kylie.
Kaylee. She's just being charged with assault,
Just
not
general
just for
assault.
spitting,
Okay.
for throwing punches. She threw the first punch.
Yeah.
Even though the boy shoved her boyfriend, she threw the first
She
haymaker.
spit at the one that Jim had in handcuffs, the 18-year-old.
I know. Yeah.
Over by the side of the, you
It's-
could hear it on the video.
Yeah, it's gonna be taken care of, within the next day or two. I mean, most people are already charged. The only thing we have to do is to add the other charge for the juvenile. That's another short report there. Yeah, it was a mess. It's an ongoing feud between the girl and the oldest boy. Apparently, the oldest boy took the 16-year-old girl's boyfriend, had him in a headlock, choking him out in school. And when he was doing that, the 16-year-old came up and kicked him in the face, put him in the hospital. They are not Boonesboro residents, I believe. Town limits.
No, I don't think anybody's in the town.
Yeah, they were Sharpsburg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah. You guys can see that then Robbie had the DUI. We thought, I know me and Rachel's had a conversation, obviously, with the new bar coming online. We are gonna try at least through most of the summer to add somebody till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what we're gonna, so that's what we're gonna try to, it won't be every night, but hopefully it will be the majority of the night we'll have late coverage, so.
Did this girl get no trespass from Alex's or?
Did they no trespass anybody?
I don't believe they've done that yet.
Definitely something we should, yeah. That's-
Yeah.
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 I have a question as to why a student that rides a bus is being allowed to walk out of school at the end of school.
Yes.
That is,
Once
I
you're in
mean,
high school, they do not monitor.
they can't,
They can just, because I
Things have
asked,
changed.
when my son had to leave early, I asked if he could just walk to
Okay.
work, and they said not till he's in high school can they come and go as they please, basically.
okay. And then, well, speaking of high school, we had 2 that left the high school, went to the elementary school and defecated on the sliding board. So. is
Yeah,
that
and we were
clear?
talking about that. Billy's got the case, and my opinion is the school has already taken action on the 2 that were involved. The one who actually did the pooping, mother is a teacher at the school, and I told Billy he needs to show the video to the mother, and let's let the school and the mother discipline them this time. I don't think we should criminally charge them.
No, but we can make them clean the bathrooms during the carnival.
We can,
Yes.
Wonderful idea. I love that idea.
that, James come up with, community service houses for cleaning the park.
Yep.
And we put the dog park.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But cleaning the bathrooms of the park during summertime?
Yeah, there's got to be consequences.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was the motive for said defecation?
Billy, you talked to the kid that did not do the pooping.
No, he's the one that did it,
Oh,
but he told me that.
And he denied it.
Is Billy's case, is Billy following up on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow.
Investigative follow-up.
We had the cracking tape or
Yeah, that's it.
I called him the third burglar.
Oh, slippery slope.
And while we're on that subject, DUI crash on Main Street,
Yes.
It'd be nice to get another camera up towards,
We have,
Maple Avenue,
yes, yeah,
because that crash was not caught on camera. Just too far up.
yeah.
But people hitting the parked cars on Main Street, Lord. I don't know, cell phones, not paying attention.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, Dave, I got a phone call the other day, from Stauffer Funeral.
Okay.
They told me what you guys did, and that was very, very nice to help them out. They didn't realize they would have that many people for that.
They gave us a 20-minute notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we,
They told me, so we're sorry we gave them such a short notice. They had no idea they wanted to put Richard's casket on that trailer and play music as they took him to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And,
Very nice.
Yeah, but they were very appreciative of you guys, your department. They said they called and Amy got a hold of you.
me and Jim went out, Jim led and I brought up the rear.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Nice that you guys could help out. So, and there's going to be days that you're going to be on calls and you won't be able to do that. So
We told
we
him when
told
they
them
called.
that too.
Yeah.
Please try to give you
Oh,
more notice.
yeah, we had notice. We brought somebody in. The man was 99 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, luckily we were able to.
Thank you very much. Good job. I appreciate that.
Well, yeah.
Anybody else have anything?
I just have one comment. It was a suggestion made with the issues on Readers and Young.
Okay.
Would it be feasible to put a stop sign at Readers and Young Avenue so that it's like a two-way stop?
Yeah.
Do you see any benefit or, I mean, I know there's one already at Cemetery. I know it's a short run.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're trying to slow people down.
Put it there. They'll run it.
We
We'll
can
stop
charge
them.
Well,
They will run that.
Well, but, I mean, you'll have to put the flags up new and all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, that's the easiest place to sit for
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. We sat there all the
It's
time.
crazy.
All we gotta do is write up a work order for Greg to put one up there.
Mhm.
He's got some down here, I think, in the shop. So
but if that's
no problem.
agreeable, I think we should do that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
A few times missed, the very first one, 102 Orchard Manor Drive, what happened up there with 2 criminal summonses?
So what'd you have up there? The criminal summons up there?
That was theft. I believe that was theft from Wise Market.
Yes.
They
Oh,
were
yeah.
short.
Yeah.
They were going to the scanner, not scanning every item.
Yeah.
But they've been trespassed from the store. Yeah, Jim handled that. did a
Were
good
they,
job.
did they have other Wise Markets involved in that too? Wasn't there other, didn't they?
I don't think those people, but
Okay.
I'm not 100%. That was Jim's and.
Okay. All right.
I'll give a quick kudos that I happened to be at Truist when the feud went on at Cross.
Oh, you were.
But they were thanking that you guys have been watching the people cutting through the drive-through.
Oh,
after
Truist?
school,
Yeah, that's.
So kind of we're in an opportune place.
We were, yeah, they were.
Yeah, they had
But
just
did
stopped
say
their car.
that they had must have contacted you or that you responded. So that was always nice.
And they were on the scene quick.
Yeah.
Because I was coming through the traffic light when two of you cut in.
They made a traffic stop from somebody cutting through Truist. So they
Yeah,
were right there.
They were
Yeah.
watching that.
You guys were on Stauffer, weren't you? Yeah.
No, they were, well, right across the
Yeah,
street.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and they, nothing came across radio. Jim tried as he was dodging traffic going across, he must have hit the wrong button, stuff come across. I got a call from somebody I know on my cell phone and said, hey, two of your guys are in a fight at Alex's. I'm like, what? So I look, I run out to my car, there's nothing on the radio. I'm like, Jim, are you okay? He's not any more units at Alex's. I'm like, shit. So then the county.
And Julia was probably one of the first with our SRO.
Yeah, Julia Wade was like 4 cars in front of me on Main Street.
Yeah, she was there quick. So.
And the assistant principal showed up on scene.
I really appreciate the way you guys handled that situation. Yep, very, very good. There was no right for her to come down there and ask to take charge of them kids.
Yeah.
That was a very good job.
They asked us the next day.
They asked what?
They asked us.
You're sitting too close to, it must be me.
I'm gonna blame it on Nelson.
Julia would come down the next day to help identify.
Right.
And she had handed it if they could do the investigation.
No, they can do their own, I don't care.
Oh, trust me, I'll hear it from you, Pat. There's no doubt about that.
First it was Robbie.
Thanks, Rachel, thanks.
First it was Robbie, now it's you, Drew.
Now, you said you gave
You got more time.
That's what we got.
You have to come get straight towels.
Blankets or something.
Is there
They're
a sign
driving
up there
through
now
the-
on the center? or
Well,
what?
it's not a cut. Yeah, it
That's
doesn't
not,
have,
that's for.
you know, for Truist owned.
Yeah.
So if they come all the way
Plus
through.
they're driving through the ATM
Yeah.
Yeah.
line.
There you
instead of
go.
going
School lets out big
Oh,
areas.
it's
And the
a-
kids walk through there too,
Yeah.
which I yell at them to
Go
go
around.
to go to the crosswalk, but they don't listen. So one day I just sat on center, Truist, I didn't let anybody come through. And the kids come, I said, you're going down there to use the crosswalk, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also looking for a shoplifter that was able to find.
Why don't you get that whole Alex, shoplifter crosswalk thing set up, put some extra control on the signboard now, so they can have that.
Okay.
We're gonna.
Thank you.
The primary investigator recommends.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any, mayor or council updates or correspondence? Hearing none, we'll move to new business. New business, fiscal year 2025 real estate and property tax rates, cost and yield tax.
Right, so this was introduced at the workshop, I believe, that, I think it was the workshop, where the recommended rate is 0.3376. We do not have to do a public hearing if we are keeping the rate the same or decreasing it. So our current rate as it is 0.3591. So I need you guys to decide if you're going to stick with what we have or if you're going to modify it to 0.3376.
I make a motion that we stay with the 0.3591.
Is that a second?
That's a second.
We have a motion and a second to stay at
591.
0.3591. Any other discussion?
Well, I have some, I'm sorry, but, I mean, if we're gonna keep the rate the same, it is an increase on the payers because everybody's assessment went up. And they went up kind of significantly. It's gonna weigh very heavily me on in the budget that's proposed because I just can't raise water and sewer rates incrementally and keep doing tax rates and then we expand staffing. If it's, I don't know, capital improvement projects or things, but I just feel like we're in the mode of less government, less spending. This is hard on everyone. I mean, I just feel so bad for the part of the community that's been here forever and is on Social Security because they're not getting these significant increases and everybody's budget's got to come somewhere. And I mean, are we absolutely necessary that we need the increase to meet our needs?
We're not increasing, we're keeping.
No, we're going to have a significant increase in revenues to the town because of.
But I agree with what you're saying,
Yes,
but don't say we're raising, we're not raising, we're keeping it the same rate, we're just
Right,
not.
but it is an increase we are passing on to the citizens because of the assessment.
It is, and the assessment has for several years been dropped.
Right.
And that's a cycle,
I know.
and I'm saying that we want to keep the current rate as is.
I know, and I'm just saying, like, it's a $700 increase on my taxes.
I understand, mine didn't go down either.
That's just the town, you know what I mean? So I'm again, I just.
So then do you have a counter to that?
Yeah, just keep it at the current rate, but again, I really feel like we need to know the budget numbers. I realize we don't have to have a public hearing, but I'm also hesitant to raise people's taxes without.
So are you asking to table this until next?
No,
week?
I'm not asking because you got your motion in a second. I'm just asking everybody to really think hard about what we're voting on. And I know we gotta get it done early because we have to get it back to the
We can table that if you want to discuss it further and want to, you know.
Well, as we grow, as the towns grow, we're gonna definitely need more staff. And more
Well, I know, but we
public
haven't
works.
grown yet, and we've got staff
We're-
built into the new budget, so that's,
we're-
we got the start of our heartburn.
We're still, but nothing's going down, Mary Lee.
I know nothing's
As
going
people,
down.
as people
I
cost of
understand-
chemicals and
I
everything.
understand,
So,
and that's,
We
I
can't
understand.
bite the bullet and go and hope.
I'm not asking us to bite the bullet on the whole, but I'm making
got it.
sure we are going to be fiscally responsible with how we spend these people's money. And I
We
cannot
are.
do that by hiring new people.
We're not talking about the budget yet, we're talking about the tax rate.
I
We
know,
haven't-
but
and
the
we
two
haven't
kind of
gotten to-
coincide.
They do, but we haven't
And we're
gotten
kind
to-
of a little early on this, because we kind of usually do them in the same. So that's where I guess, I'm just telling you, I have personally have heartburn.
It's nice to be able to be ahead for a change instead of rushing.
Well, I know, but I don't want to run people out of town.
So if I may sum things up, we already presented this initially at the workshop, so we've already had 2 weeks to discuss it and ponder on it. And there's a motion and a second on the floor, so I think Marilee's point is that she's not saying to change it, we can stay at the 0.3591 if that's what everybody else wants to do, but just to keep the fact that taxpayers are going to be paying more money, keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking at what is in the budget and be very cognizant of
I mean, it's a 2% increase.
how we're going to justify this step.
When you do the actual numbers based on what it was before. and then do it.
After the assessment, I know.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I would say that I hear Mary Lee's points, I understand what you're saying. In the workshop, you had mentioned that it was an additional $1 million in revenue. I didn't
I don't think
get
it's that
that.
much, was it?
No.
No. That was, I might have looked at that, that was the New York construction there. I might have looked at that wrong, because I don't, I guess I don't know exactly what the new revenue is. Do we know that?
That's part of the budget
I wanna
discussion.
say it's a couple $100,000, but I'm not positive.
Do you want me to read what, Brian?
Yeah.
Do you have that with you?
I think it says potential revenue is 1.4 million, that's where I got that number.
Okay.
So I didn't know if that's all these from the increase, or I guess maybe that's how the new construction.
Do you wanna read it?
Or you can.
Go ahead, read it.
But I don't think he wants to read it. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I
I
forgot that
just-
Brian did.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Again, I just feel, I'm just,
I understand.
Some are just not raising it, yeah, alternative to drop it lower.
true.
So as Brian laid it out, for the tax year beginning July 1, 2025, the estimated real property assessable base will increase by 6.4% from $390,290,247 up to $197,249. So if the town of Boonesborough maintains the current tax rate of 0.3591 per $100 of assessment, real property tax revenue will increase by 6.4%, resulting in $89,441 of new real property tax revenue. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.3445, the constant yield tax rate.
And see, to me, if you reduce the rate, you're just playing a game with numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you're doing. So the real raise in revenue is 89K, you said, right, Rachel?
Yes,
Correct.
Yeah, but
89,441.
they have the constant yield being at 0.33.
I think he took the same thing he had last year, and I think he must have missed that.
Okay,
But the point is, it's 89,441.
which I get, it's not
To drop in the bucket.
a lot, it's just, it's on 22.
It went from 1,386 last year budget cycle to 1,490 this budget cycle. Is what we're estimating.
Again, I understand, I just have heartburn, especially with what we're gonna look at.
Okay, we have the responsibility to, be fiscally responsible. I think we are. This council is very fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money. I think we all absolutely have our responsibilities in that. And so we just, we hear you saying, Mayor Lee, you just gotta continue to make sure we help you that are irresponsible. I agree with that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Let's do a roll call vote. Ray?
Aye.
Ricky?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all. Employees Retirement Benefits Administrator change.
I'll take that one.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Hey, you guys, have a good
Thank you.
evening. Please come back again. Absolutely. Don't forget your notepad there.
Clean that sliding board off.
Easy now. Easy. Okay, so as we discussed earlier with Wells Fargo is losing the ability to manage any of our funds, whether it be investment funds and or the retirement fund. And I've been doing some legwork in the background with Tyler Hornbecker, who is here in town and is with Edward Jones. Our employee retirement benefit package, the administrator of the package is still going to be Smith Elliott Kearns. The only change that we're asking for is that we have Tyler with Edward Jones become the advisor role, just like Abel's was with the Abel's group. That's all they do. They're the ones that sit down with an employee or advise us that there's going to be a change, that, you know, how that change is going to affect people. Right now, I have all the documents that I need to make that happen, to switch from Abel's to Edward Jones. And in the process of finding out about this, I found out that we still have Paul Mantello listed as the town manager, and not the problem that Mary Lee Kearns, but she was still listed as the treasurer, which those two people were in those positions at one time. I have new documents here for the change for myself to be the treasurer, and also one for Rachel to be recognized as the town manager. These are just positions that need to be recognized on the retirement plan. So that's what they are. I have both of those. I also have the document needed that would change for Capital Group, which is American Funds, which is the money fund, that would designate the changeover, and Howard as the mayor would need to sign that one. I have that one. This one has to go back to Tyler at Edward Jones, and then these other ones would need to be signed, and I would take them back to Smith Elliott Kearns. So nothing changing other than the fact that Edward Jones, Tyler Hornbecker becomes the advisor. Everything else is still capital funds, and Smith Elliott Kearns is the administrator.
And Tyler has an office in Boone.
And that's another reason that I reached out.
Employees to go in and ask
That was the other
questions
reason I
and
reached
change
out to him, so
things.
that that he could do that because he is local.
Mhm.
So if we're okay with that, Howard's gonna sign, and
I'm okay.
you'll give me that.
We need to make a motion.
So I make a
Nothing
motion.
for the town employees is going to change.
Say that again.
Nothing for the town
No.
employees is
Not
going
their
to change.
packages or anything, just who they would call if they had
Right.
questions or
Okay.
wanted
Yeah.
to change from like growth to
Okay.
equity or something like that.
So
and how-
I'll make a motion.
Carrie did.
Who did?
Carrie.
Oh, then I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to make this change. Any other discussion?
I might throw a few comments out there today. I'm totally in favor of it. I happen to be at Tyler's today. That's some of my own stuff. I'm definitely a big fan of having someone local that the guys can walk into if they have questions. I mentioned to Bill Wavels that day about the town employees, can they contribute themselves? And he said they couldn't. Now, with Tyler, they can certainly have a separate plan if they wish to contribute themselves. So, and I asked Tyler, would he please come and give a talk to all the town employees? He said he would, and meet with them individually if they want. So I'm in favor of it. He did indicate the cost is the same. Excellent recap thing, and, so I'm in favor of it.
Here we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
And I'll just add, Tyler is checking to see if in fact the employees can contribute to this plan. He thought they could, from what he'd
I
seen.
thought they had to do it in a separate.
Right, but if there's
They
a
can
possible,
do American funds, but
Right.
they just have to have
So-
two accounts.
but at the very least, they can have their own individual IRA. So, but anyway, I'll find that out.
Because we would be, I think, too cumbersome to distinguish how much is vested or not vested in employees.
You have one through Nationwide.
I had that. It's not that good. But anyway,
Your
we'll find
paycheck
out.
goes to
We'll
the
find out.
Nationwide.
Thank you.
So it is two separate
Stormwater
ones.
management.
Okay, I sent you all today a review of the stormwater management facilities. And just, I'm asking for direction from the council as to what is the policy of the town when it comes to stormwater management. I gave you a summary there, basically telling you that every new development that has any impervious area, whether it's streets, rooftops, I don't care what it is, pavilions, whatever, if you have more than a certain amount, you have to provide stormwater management facilities to treat the runoff. So I looked through the town, there are 27 ponds within the town limits. Of these, 7 are owned and maintained by the town of Boonesboro. There does not appear to be a lot of consistency as to why it was done some places or why it wasn't done other places. And I just made a slight mention that, and this is just so that you understand where I come from and how I will always treat things, is that although this, you would think that this really is a planning commission question, because it's a policy, because it has a direct financial potential impact on the general fund budget, you all should decide, not the planning commission. And the planning commission hasn't really taken this issue up, because I haven't brought it to it, because I want to know what the council wants to do. You're the ones that are going to decide. Planning commission has no authority to make approvals that cost the town money. That has to be decided by the council. So I'm basically just asking, there are pros and cons to doing it both ways. I did provide a map that shows you where they are. I do want to point out one thing on this map that you should take note of, because this is one of the reasons why I'm asking. Sycamore Run was your last subdivision that you did in the town of Boonesboro when the new stormwater management regulations went into place. Look at all the facilities in one subdivision. Here's Crestview, and one big pond at the end. One. Kinsey Heights, same thing. Now, a lot of these other facilities are commercial, but we're still ultimately responsible for the inspection, the reporting, the notification. So a lot of these are commercial. This is Middletown Valley Bank. This is the post office. This is back behind Ace Hardware. You get up in here, there's the only one for Delaware. That's it. There's only one for the whole thing. But when we do new subdivisions, it's going to be like this, because this is the new standard. And whereas some of you we're really familiar, especially behind AC&T and over by Weiss, you know, the big giant detention ponds. And years ago, it was big detention. That's what you did. You trapped the water. You wanted it to settle out. You wanted all the pollutants to set down. You wanted to discharge to the stream. That's not what they do now. They want treatment at the source it comes off the road. So my only point in bringing all this up to you is that as these areas build out, you're going to have stormwater facilities like this.
Yeah, so Drew, I know up the street from me with Battlefield Estates, their plan is to have one up there that's over an acre.
Yes.
So, and I would be in favor based on honestly just common sense and what Greg had said. He doesn't want to maintain it, so I'd be on board with that. Would it be your intention that we take over, or I'm sorry, the homeowner? What about the 7? Is my question, not getting it outright.
I don't think you're going to be able to.
Just let them alone.
Who's going to want to buy a stormwater management facility that they maintain? I can't. If you can find me someone that would buy it, you probably couldn't give it away.
I'll sell you a bridge if you sell that.
So I'd be in favor of letting the HOAs.
Now, my question is Battlefield Estates gonna be required to have an HOA?
They should, because
Then
they're
so you can make
55
that
and
as a
over community.
Your decision here makes the other one happen. Meaning if you say, we do not take over stormwater management facilities. We're telling the developers up front, you're gonna have to create an HOA, or you're gonna have to hang
I mean,
around.
I
and
know
keep
that's
paying
why
for it.
we have inconsistencies, we have developments with OHs and developments without, you know, and of course, you know, timing.
Well, that's a
you
good
know,
question.
anyways, just when, you know, like you said,
Exactly.
there's one
If you
pond,
do-
it was the first one.
If you do put these into an HOA, how can we have it worded so we won't get stuck like up here? These ones
Yeah,
up
that's
here when that HOA is disbanded now. It's
Yeah,
not
you're
clustered. You know, what-
I can't tell you that there's any guarantee. I can tell you what I look for, because that seems to be the best predictor of whether or not an HOA will survive. And that is, I go and I look in the section of the HOA documents that talks about what happens when you don't pay fees. Because if they can't charge and collect fees, they can't fix anything. And what kills most HOAs is they start out and they don't have any teeth to get the money. If they don't get the money, then somebody stops paying and they tell the other guy stops paying. It's like, the hell with it, I'm not gonna stop. And then by the time you realize you've got some sort of an issue, the whole thing just kind of disbands and no one wants to go beating up on their neighbors. So if you're gonna have an HOA, if your decision is give it to the HOAs and that's gonna precipitate a whole thing in the planning commission, then we'll come back to you about HOA requirements, about having some elements in there to make sure that they're going to be around. They're not gonna disappear. And the reasons are that you're gonna have to take care of stormwater management facilities or open space or other things like that.
Isn't there new Maryland requirements about how much HOAs have to have with port capital improvements or reserves
That
or
is
something
correct.
that
Isn't part of this
keep
more
getting
than
put in?
part of it too?
MS4 is part of the process of requiring the drainage and treatment structures.
Can they require the HOAs to have capital?
So I have another question, so what happens if we want to do like a stormwater fee, like the city of Hagerstown does? How can you wouldn't be able to justify charging someone who's paying HOAs to take care of their a stormwater fee?
Well, and as I said when I mentioned
I'm
this,
just, you know,
yeah,
I'm
as I-
asking,
yeah.
I'm just throwing out questions.
Right,
because-
no, and that's what this is for.
And we got this kind of late today.
Right, well, and guys,
Yeah.
there is no, I'm not asking for a decision tonight. This is for you all to discuss and
Can we
to have
maybe think about
information.
it then and put it on the workshop so we can have a little more time to back
There-
the ideas and questions around?
There are pluses and minuses.
Do you
Uh,
want to ask the planning commission if they have an opinion
I can,
or recommendation? I mean,
absolutely.
Well, with respect to your point brought up there, which was a good point, maybe what makes it a little different there beside of me, not just because it's beside of me, that zoning is 55 and older. So I would think that means they have to have an HOA.
see, I don't know if
To
that's a factor.
mandate that. So,
It's the natural question, but again, these are the questions that drive it. And that's why I bring this up because there is no urgency yet. I mean.
There isn't, there isn't.
Well, there isn't because, look, anything that's on the planning docket that has an approval or a concept approval already has accounted for stormwater management. For example, Dean North, although they haven't submitted any improvement plans formally that I can find, I know they have some concept plans and they know what they're gonna do, and there's already an HOA there, they're already taking over the stormwater management ponds at Dean South. Dean North is just gonna take them over, so it kind of gives me some reassurance. The Battlefield Estates, it's gonna be an active adult, they don't wanna cut their grass, they don't wanna clear the sidewalks, so we're probably gonna be covered there. But when these other places start to break free that have the single-family homes, the townhouses, that's gonna matter. And that's gonna matter a lot about the HOA, how you're doing it, and how they work. Not insurmountable, not difficult, but I think while we've got a number of people getting ready, and we're probably gonna be seeing more planning documents in the next 2 or 3 years, it's nice to be able to tell them what the policy is. Just tell the engineers right up front. Here's what you're gonna have to do, because the town's not gonna take over these properties, so you're gonna have to create an HOA. Or you can stay as a developer, doesn't matter to us, because that's who owns it. But then you're gonna have to maintain it. We're not gonna wanna do that, they're gonna wanna advocate that to an HOA.
Well, can we have an attorney that words it a certain way that if the HOA goes kerplunk, that there's gonna be a fee added to the resident or whatever to maintain the stormwater?
You could, and I would think whatever you all decide, when it gets into ordinance form that you approve, it would be reviewed and prepared by an attorney.
I mean, because that's a good point, because like, it wouldn't be fair to have a resident of Lincoln Avenue paying for stormwater to have somebody's HOA dissolved. You know what I mean? Again, that's why I worry about, pricing the core of our town out of existence as this news come and
Right,
our
and you all,
assessment goes up because they lived in the same house and their assessment's gone up,
and you all should have full discussion of it so that you understand it backwards and forwards. I mean, I have no opinion on this. I don't care which way you go. I just want to know what to tell the developers. That's all I'm asking.
You don't have a recommendation as you
I personally would take them over. If you're asking my opinion, I would take them over.
would take them up.
Absolutely.
And hire another person to take care of them?
So raise taxes, because they're gonna have to pay,
Right.
they're gonna pay HOA fees,
Yeah.
and they're paying to treat water coming off of your streets. Let me tell you, when they figure that one out and come banging on your door, that's a tough argument. That's a really tough argument. Why am I paying an HOA fee to treat a stormwater management facility that treats all the runoff from your public street? That's an argument that will come out. So, I mean,
Do we know if there's been legal challenges or cases or?
that's what you have attorneys for, they can research all that. But,
And I wouldn't object to that if we give Greg more help.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
well, the only reason I say control, and this is the only reason I say it,
Yeah,
is
but
because if
taking
you,
over 20 pounds, but we only do 7 now, is huge.
I know, it would have to be by a full-time person.
the only nice part about it is because these things are so integral into the subdivisions that they're gonna be building and the other areas, you want them to look nice. If you're not in charge of it, one HOA might do a great job because they decide they want it to look nice, and they're gonna pay these HOA fees. And the other HOA pays the minimum amount, you're driving down the road, it looks like going from night to day in these ponds. Because there are positives and negatives on both
You can
sides.
have uniformity with that, and if we already have 7, I don't wanna be in the business, but we're in the business. We already have 7 of them, and if something goes defunct, when these HOAs collapse, we're gonna be in the business no matter what, so.
Hey, you all have this map. I think what Marilee suggests is a great idea. When you're driving around town, look at these things. See what they look like. See what gets in them. Greg and their guys spend a lot of time cleaning those things up, believe it or not. They're in there a lot cleaning up the trash.
And maybe I missed it, but are the 7 that we have to take care of, maybe could you color code them different than the other
Yeah.
7 so that we can kind of?
Most of them are in Sycamore Run.
Okay.
But yes, I'll color code them so that they're different.
Just curious.
And this is the whole point of this. We start with the big picture question. You ask your detailed questions. You get answers to the point that you feel comfortable to make a decision, knowing both the good and the bad, and then you make your decision. So again, there's nothing pushing it.
And are there more repercussions with MS4 if we take them or don't take them? Does it help us or not?
Makes it simple for us if you take them, because if there's a problem with it, you can fix it.
Okay.
You're not the agency that has to notify the HOA, and you have to keep going after them as the enforcement person and all this. If it's
I'm
yours,
also gonna just point this out, because you guys are gonna sit here and have a budget discussion, and if you vote that we're taking them over, that blows this to a different.
Well, that was my next comment. Maybe I'm not smart enough to follow this whole conversation, but if we take them all over, then it's 2 more people for Greg, which raises the tax rate on everybody, not
Exactly.
just the people.
And the
that-
homeowners associations that are already taking care of some dues aren't gonna go
Yeah, so that's.
on those people.
Yep.
That's.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is a
Exactly
lot
right.
to
Exactly
think
right.
about.
it's not an easy decision. It's not like there's a ton of pros and only a few cons. It's not like there's a ton of cons and just a few pros. It's kind of like this, and it's a tough call.
Well, if they maintain their own in these different areas, and one looks great and one looks terrible, well, the area that looks terrible, that's on them if they want to live in a crappy looking neighborhood.
I kind of agree with that too. I mean, I don't know, my first gut reaction would be, I would be hesitant to take over 20 that we don't have, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, a lot of
And I
these
don't
are-
mean that you can in the future.
Right, well, what I should probably code these as is HOAs, commercial, and town. Because Some of these are
commercial,
on,
does the business
like,
have to take care
the
of it?
Ace Hardware, we don't know that, that's
So then the business owns
so
that.
the
and
business
he's
owner.
responsible. Like
The one they
it
put it
has-
in
okay.
Middletown Valley Bank, they have to maintain.
So that,
Okay,
yeah, so that would be a third color.
Right, exactly, but we, the town, because it's within our town limits, are required to do the notification, the inspections and those type of things.
Well, hey, while we're in the weeds, up Orchard Drive, okay, beside of me, those houses are going to be owner occupied.
Right.
Okay, on up the street, that's a rental.
Mhm.
So is that commercial in this sense?
As far as for living, you consider it residential.
Okay, so the stormwater pond is their HOA, even though, okay. And if, yeah, and it all.
They have one too?
Yeah, there's one right
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's a lot.
We can have it next month or on the workshop or whatever you all want to do.
I would let's revisit it again if the workshop.
Yeah, that's it.
I heard, let's change the map to have the colors.
Yeah.
Was there something else that,
Yeah, we own, they own, and commercial.
Or Mary Lee, did you want to also get comments from the planning commission or
you
not?
want comments
I
from the
mean,
planning commission?
do we have a planning commission meeting between now and workshop? I don't think it would hurt us to have more, I mean, to me, the more people who give us ideas and opinions, the more thoughts we,
Okay.
have to make a better informed decision.
I'll get you some comments. If there's anything else you think about you want to see, please let me know. I'll include it in an update. This is just the first cursory blow. You're just looking at the big picture of what's going on.
Yeah, planning's on the 25th, the workshop's the 31st, and we'll have time to get something out of them.
Okay. While you're there, text amendment to zoning code.
This is something that the planning commission and even the town board had made some comments on, regarding the site plan. One of the things that kind of triggered all this, and that's usually how it works in the zoning world, behind, the distillery place, what's its name? I'm sorry. Pathfinder. They put up the garage. You know, the planning commission felt that they should have gotten a review, there should have been a site plan, had a long lengthy discussion about what it was. You all were provided the information on the proposed text. I showed them what the site plan requirements are. They're pretty darn general. Anything greater than 2,000 square feet requires a zoning certificate, period, end of story. It's not really relevant today. So the planning commission asked to change the language. And so we looked at a couple of highlight areas that they wanted to discuss, some specific elements they wanted to update in the plans. And then after we reviewed that, identified those areas, they asked me to draft some language. And then they have approved this language for the board to review and comment, because this would be a text amendment to the zoning code. So ultimately what has to happen is the planning commission and the town board, or the joint public hearing, doesn't matter. You have to have a public hearing to change your text amendment. Like a zoning text amendment, you're changing it. This would be the new language. But before we go through all that, before an attorney, we spend $1 on an attorney or anything else, planning commission wanted you all to see the language and wanted your comments back with regard to site plan requirements. So the draft language here, let me go over this. One of the number one things that we wanted to identify was, under what conditions does somebody have to file a site plan? So here's the draft language. A site plan shall be submitted to the planning commission for review and approval for all commercial, multifamily residential, institutional, and industrial buildings, unless all of the following conditions are met. There's no change in the amount of parking needed. That's usually what catches everybody. The intensity of the use is not changed. You didn't go from a restaurant to a warehouse or a retail place to something else. Your change of use the intensity has not changed. One of the examples we kept using was the Admiral going to Sizzling Fajitas. They didn't change the number of seats. They didn't change everything stayed the same. The use is the same. It's just a transfer of owner in that particular case. There are no exterior structural changes. The building or use has not been grandfathered. The building or site meets all existing regulations for the district within which it is located. And what the planning commission and I did is we spent about 2 different meetings trying to pick every example in town and figured out how would it apply to this? How would that apply? Sizzling fajitas. What if, name anything that you've seen developed here recently. The post office. That was new, right? I mean, you can go through this very quickly. The point of all this is most of this doesn't matter on the ends of town where it's undeveloped. There's nothing there. This really comes into play in your downtown. This is where it really matters. So that was one element. They wanted to make it very clear. So we're not getting on size of the buildings. We're talking about uses, intensity, parking changes. We're not saying how many square feet the building is if you have to have a site plan, okay? Also threw something in there that the parking, that the planning commission would have the ability to waive parking requirements in the downtown if they decided. And you're gonna have to have that ability somewhere in there, because in the downtown, even when people do their very best to provide all the parking, you just can't. It's not going to happen 100% of the time. Planning commission review and expiration. This was another big one that the planning commission wants. And so we are including it in this text amendment, and that is an expiration date on all approved plans that the planning commission grants an approval to. Concept plans, final plats, site plans, preliminary approvals. And some of the wording in here is up for discussion. This is what they finally agreed on, but there was some discussion of 3 years, 5 years, went back and forth. But basically, all site plan approvals shall automatically expire 3 years after the date on which the planning commission approves the site plan. Let me stop right there. When I say planning commission approves the site plan, that means the planning commission and all of their conditions have been met. Many times the planning commission does a conditional acceptance. They say, oh, we haven't heard back from State Highway, or we haven't heard back from the county, but we give our approval as long as you meet whatever. That's a conditional approval. So when I say site plan approval, I'm talking about the day when they finally got all the pieces together. So the planning commission might approve it on March, but it may not get all their stuff in together until April. I just want to make that clear. Unless substantial construction of the site improvement has validly issued. Basically says, if you haven't started work in 3 years, your permit's expired. And this was the one that they really wanted. B, you get rid of all grandfathering. And that comes down under here. Yeah. So if you look right here, expires 3 years after. So this means that you cannot be grandfathered. It means that everybody, when you would pass an ordinance like this, everybody that doesn't have an expire date just got their start date. And that way you won't have plans showing up on your doorstep asking for approvals from something that happened 15 or 16 years ago. So these are the general pieces. The planning commission also asked about throwing in some definitions. We have some old definitions in our zoning code. These are some of the definitions that come up frequently, where people have different understandings. What is an accessory building, active adult building? I know some of these sound silly, and I think you might laugh, but you're just surprised. When you get on terrain that's going like this, and you're going like this, and you're looking at the top of it matters. That's why the drawing is in there, et cetera. So, not looking for an answer for this evening. That's not the intent, but we're looking for any comments from the mayor and council, your thoughts, your concerns. Specifically, what we're talking about is putting brand new requirements for every business and person in town when it comes to, do you have to file a site plan or not? And then if you have a site plan, there is an expiration date on it. There was debate about whether it should last 5 years or 3 years because of all the approvals you have to get. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I don't think the planning commission was really married to 3 or 5 years. They just wanted an expiration.
I thought they ended up settling for 5, but I thought it was too many.
Like I said, it went back and forth. Anybody have any comments, concerns, thoughts? I know this is an initial review.
I'll say, Drew, since I was a part of all that, I know one day you and I had lunch at Redbird. I was like, well, when the heck do we need a site plan and when don't we? So this is good job. The only thing that struck me as you were going through this that I hadn't thought about before, what about zoning changes? This would catch that.
Oh, yeah.
So that, we don't need to separately identify all changes. in the-
You said change in intensity. That could be the same use, but go up in intensity, or usually uses and intensity. Uses or intensities are usually tied together.
I mean, this is good. This,
So I'm gonna guess we have the template from somewhere else that we started with, like, do we need to have an attorney?
You will need an attorney to review it when you're ready, but our point was, if no one on the planning commission and no one on the mayor and council was in favor, we were gonna waste money with an attorney making a
I
resolution.
was a little confused about the, upon written request, you can do one extension.
Right.
For 6 months, but then it also said an extension of the site plan may be granted by the planning commission for delays attributable to the town, county, or state. So is that,
That means like if the town got slapped with a moratorium,
Okay.
that was outside of the developer's control, their site plan shouldn't have to expire.
so it does, so that to me doesn't say it won't expire, but it just says an extension.
Right, you would grant an
So-
extension.
But it doesn't say how, so is that extension only 6 months, or I guess I'm a little confused in that wording.
Okay.
If that makes, you understand what I'm saying, like, I don't, I don't,
be more definitive.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't, you know what I mean, like, yeah, it would hardly be fair to somebody to get a site plan approved and then put a moratorium on, and then make them go through all that again.
Right. I think, again, this is an early intro, but that's what we want to hear is, what are some of the specifics that you think maybe make this clearer? Or is there another restriction or something you want that's not in there?
There was the active adult community thing, there only has to be one resident who's at least 55.
Well,
So
there's
I
different
guess-
things there. You must have looked up some stuff that.
Okay,
I
I'm surprised you didn't comment.
I get hung up on age targeted, age restricted all the
Okay.
time because there is a difference.
Okay.
What I was told inside of me, 80% of the people have to be 55 and older.
Okay.
It's an 80-20. Yeah.
What class is that?
That was age restricted.
Okay.
Age targeted, I was told, means that it's a realtor's sort of word. They have to target it for certain ages, but then because of discrimination laws, they have to sell it to anyone. So I don't even know why age targeted even exists if they have to sell it to anyone.
It's what happened out by BlackRock. That was age targeted, and they started having to sell to anybody.
Okay.
Age restricted, like you have at Emerald Point and the Crampton developments, have to be 80-20.
80-20 is what I was told. Yeah.
I specifically threw that in there to stir the pot, because there are multiple definitions, multiple understandings, and I want the discussion. I mean, again, I don't care how you define it, but we should have how we define it and tell the others, when you're a developer, how we define it. Yeah, you can call whatever you want on your side, don't care, but this is the zoning rules you need to follow.
Right,
And
the
you-
zoning rule is what is applicable to the side of me.
You get into HOA restrictions too, where can a grandparent living in there raise a child? Some of them are no. There can be nobody under the age of whatever they say, 28, 30, 21. But others throughout the area don't have that. And then you get grandparents raising 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds into an over 55 community, which has caused quite a bit of friction. So, but that is always, my understanding, that was always left up to the HOA.
So do we go by what, I guess, what county has defined for age restricted communities?
You can
Or
define
is
it however you
in our
want.
zoning,
It's in
or-
your zoning, you can define it however you want.
Okay, so this would be, so I guess why is this starting here then? I guess it's like, other than to stir the pot, or?
No, I'm here to say there's one. This is
Okay.
our only definition. We don't use anything else.
Okay.
Your, whatever you want to call it, age target or whatever, it's got to fit those requirements. Is that too much? I don't know. I'm just,
I don't know, only one person being 55 or older doesn't to me be age restricted. So I guess I'll have to think on that one, like I said. You're
Again.
asking for our first initial conversation and.
exactly. And is this a direction that you think is a direction that you would be in favor of hearing more about? I mean, that's basically what it is. And that's because, let's just look at how, I mean, these are not, I mean, the prerequisite to issue to the zoning, a site plan shall be submitted to the planning commission for approval of all new construction
Either 2,000 square feet. What's everybody's house? You don't do site plans for people's houses. You know, I mean, again, it was written a long time ago. Keep in mind, in the early 60s, most people did not build 2,000 square feet home. That would have been something commercial back in that day. And they just didn't build houses that big. So, again, looking for your thoughts,
I mean,
input.
the planning commission was all in favor of us developing something, right?
Yes, so they pretty much forwarded this to us.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
To
yeah,
review and comment.
yeah, I'm in favor. I'm not, maybe we might need to tweak this. So can we discuss it again at the workshop?
Sure.
If any ideas or changes? Sorry, I'm making the workshop meeting get really big on.
Well, no, I think that's the place for it.
As long as we incorporate some social equity into it.
Anything else, sir?
No, get out of
Thank you
your
for
hair.
your hard work.
You're fine. Anybody else have any more questions for Drew?
Not right now.
Okay. Review of BPD parking fine schedule. Chief?
I mean, we just sent it out for everybody to review. It's nothing that, we're expecting any, quick approval. It would be nice maybe by carnival time, but if not this year, next year. I mean, it's one of them things.
The question is any of that, like a mandatory tow, like, we had a mandatory tow for a fire hydrant or a fire
Right.
lane or even handicap.
I mean, we can go back to county on that, or, which it would be. And then you had a question about court dates. So we contacted district court because we all have court dates. That's all it takes for us to be hard with our citation for the town as well. So nothing special has to be done through the courts. Yeah.
I
So,
personally think that the it's great, now, thanks for all the work, I personally think the fines are a little late, but. I mean,
Well,
it's just-
well,
you're a
so-
councilman,
so what I did-
You see, you don't get $25 ticket for anything.
What I did was I looked at Hancock, Smithsburg, Thermont, and I looked at their prices. There's still towns out there that have $5 fines. It's a lot of the offenses that I put on there, parking offenses for if it was a state of Maryland ticket, it's $60, $70. So I kind of went somewhere in between, so it can always be adjusted.
Yeah, that's fine, I just, it seems like to me, if it's what the area is, and that's fine with me.
Well, one thing I talked to the chief about was at the end, the paying the fines, because I don't know that the, police department's always got somebody sitting there at the desk. So if somebody comes in to pay a fine, if they're not there, I just thought we might list the hours, and then where it says all fines must be paid within 10 days, change that in the next line to 30, because you might go in there and pay, and you can't come back for another whatever. I just think it ought to be changed to 30, because we don't know when might not be covered.
I mean,
You know?
Amy's there, but she's on vacation. I mean, she's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but there is times she's not there. So,
And should Amy be the one?
Well, that was my
Well,
question,
that
could
could
they be tracked, how are they gonna be tracked and collected?
Well,
Did you-
yeah.
Should it be done here?
well,
That's-
we think it's easier to track through the PD.
Okay.
I mean,
I agree.
yeah, I mean, it's just easier. We write them, Amy files them.
But is there a slot?
Question, if they're getting a ticket, is there like an envelope and a thing that they can put their check in
Oh,
and
we
drop it in the box where they pay their utility bills?
And you
or
can check it every
in your
day?
slot, and then,
That would work.
That's a good idea.
they have a box like that in Henderson.
City of Hagerstown's not always open for you to pay.
Right, but they have a box where
They
you
got a
can
box
stick
and you
your
drop it in.
thing in.
We even have to develop something where they can mail it too, because if we ticket somebody from out of the state, so, yeah, so, I mean, all that's yet to be decided. And again, we just wanted to get something out for everybody to look at.
That was a good idea, just put a box with a slot,
Yeah.
drop it right in there.
Yeah, because we have the front lobby of the PD is open 24/7, so.
Okay, then, as a person who owns 2 homes by fire hydrants, like, there's no curb in front of my house to, painted
We plan on targeting.
red. Well, there's a story behind that, but, not me, but there's a state trooper who got a picture taken where we gave my dad a ticket, and he parked in front of the fire hydrant, so that was good. But I'm just saying how, like, and again, it's mostly no one ever parks there except for Carnival and the fireworks, you know what I mean? And generally they're sitting there out there, but I don't want to be the bitch to come out and say, oh, you can't park in front of my house, you know what I mean? Cause it's just gonna start an incident, they're gonna, here you can tell me I can't park, I'm like, you know, and I really don't want to tow during
Right.
the fireworks, the carnival might be a different issue, sometimes they even block your driveway, but.
Well, and that's another, when we talk about driveways, like it said, 15 foot of an intersection. Are we gonna put red lines there so people know?
I think
Because they're gonna have to read this,
I
to
think the
know that.
majority of the parking spaces in town are already spaced appropriately off the intersections, because they're marked parking.
On the main street, but
Yeah.
like on side streets,
Yeah, on the
there's
side
no
street,
space.
there's not.
That was another question.
Well, and then too, you know, like, I mean, like, the driveway at the one is probably within 15, I mean, as long as you can't be parked on the road by the fire, like, but in your
Right.
driveway, you're fine if you're closer than 15 foot, right? Otherwise, I might have an issue.
I don't think the police department is just gonna run around and write tickets either. They're gonna be the way they've always been. They're gonna warn you once, you know.
Well, I'm just asking,
repeat
if
it.
you
Well, I
know
know,
what I mean,
but
like,
I think that's their
I'm assuming it's
mindset,
15
right?
feet both
Yeah.
sides of the fire hydrant too, right?
This just gives us another tool where if a
Yeah.
situation arises, we have something to fall back on. that we
That's
can-
all.
we can address it.
True, yeah. I mean,
Good job.
it's not for revenue.
And I'm glad you're doing this.
Yeah, it just gives us another, we've all said this, another tool.
Yep.
And
I like it.
if you look at, it's the left wheel to the curb, is me,
Yeah.
you're parking in the wrong direction.
Now, what do we have, do we have any teeth if they choose not to pay?
Well, I mean,
We do, so
you'll have,
if they don't pay it, we can set the dates. I know you mentioned going from 10 to 30, but if they don't pay by a certain time that we establish, we can send it to the MVA for the registration to be flagged.
Yeah.
as suspended.
Okay.
just like any other.
citation.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm with Terry, I would like to give us a little more than a 10-day. I'm
Because
curious,
it's an
especially
older
if it's
person,
somebody out
right,
of town
doesn't
and they
have-
gotta mail it in, God knows how long
No,
that'll take. and-
we talked at the beginning, I
And
agree
then
with
have the
Terry.
box.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense, you know, so we're good. Again, I'm fine with that. I think we all would be.
Parking warning, you know, for like,
I'm sorry, Ray.
you have a parking warning book that you advertise.
Well, we have a book and it's
We have a book that has 3 offenses on it.
in a space to write in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one would cover
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Do y'all want to give permission to the police department to start their?
Well, do we need to we don't need to at least change I don't think we're quite, I mean, I don't know, I would like to not have it be due within 10 days. And I would like to at least have
We'll make
a
those
place
changes.
where they're able to
Yeah.
pay,
Come back,
Right.
so.
make those changes and bring it back to us.
You want them to come back with a
Then I'm
second
ready to
draft, or you
go.
want to make a recommendation tonight, and they can make a recommendation tonight, come back with the final draft.
Yeah.
With the changes.
This is also going to be an ordinance, right?
Right,
We have to have a
right.
public
We'll
hearing.
have to have a public hearing, right, yeah. So,
And my objective when I wrote this up, and I just generically named the sections in it, is if Drew is creating an ordinance for things that he needs to address, where he's setting fine schedules or anything, it could all be included in one thing.
And don't we have to have a
Let's
public
expand.
hearing for the
Yes.
budget, so can we like do them all in one nice public hearing meeting?
we don't care.
So we don't have to
Same
pay to
night,
advertise.
It could be the
Well, I
same
know
night,
you
but-
have to have like designated times, but can't we put it like all in the same advertising?
Yes, I think you can have a
Save
public
it.
hearing that is going to address.
Public hearing for the following ordinances, so we don't have to pay for 3 newspaper ads.
So I'm good with the way it is now, and make with the recommendation that they go back to make a final, this is the draft, back to the final draft with the recommendations that you want on there, which I don't really have a problem with. That way we don't do it again, and then the next time they come back, we'll have a public hearing on it. As long as the changes are made that you guys want.
And 2 definitions, I mentioned to you, stored, I think we need a definition for stored and a definition for emergency, maybe.
Under the definitions,
Yeah.
James.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
So does this need to be on the workshop agenda, or are we going to be prepared to vote on it at the April mayor and council meeting?
I would like to put
Just see
the
it come back to
changes
the
on the
workshop,
workshop,
and then
since we
vote,
have
yeah.
definitions for adding, we're gonna
But I'm
add the
not-
Dropbox.
I'm
so
not
that then we're
looking at
prepared.
changing it. I like the number 5.
We might have to change our April meeting. If our workshop is the 31st, don't we have to do, I don't know what our dates are. Don't we have to have so many days? I
Yes,
just don't want us to, like, be,
it has to be advertised so
you
many
know what I
days.
mean, get it we're the 14th, so we're probably tight. You can probably get it advertised for the then it has to be like 10 days before you have to advertise or something.
Sounds right, I don't know. the
Yeah, I
number.
can just, you know what I'm saying, I'm just making sure. So we're April 14th, so technically I think have 10. Say March 31st, we're good, go and advertise it, we have 10 days.
14, yeah, it's 14
Because
days.
it's April 14th, I wasn't sure what our date was. You know what I mean? I just don't want us to be.
That's calendar days, not Monday through Friday, right? That's calendar days.
Correct, it's calendar
Okay,
days.
so if we before, yeah, we should be 14, we should be.
So I think we're okay. I just, like I said, I hadn't looked at what date we were, like, if it was April 10th, you know what I mean? I was just thinking like we were.
Yeah, I know, you're right. Nope, we should be good.
So you want an ordinance created too? So we'll have to have the ordinance
Anytime
wording.
we impose fees
And
or
then-
fines, we have to have an ordinance.
Correct.
Approved contract renewal with Cintas.
So our 5-year contract with Cintas is up in April and it automatically renews if, we don't cancel it. So Kim, tried to get quotes. She managed to get prices from UniFirst and, I think you'll see that they were very similar. And then Greg pointed out that when they had tried to get away from Cintas, the last time, there were a lot of other things that had to be put in place because like the sanitizer and soap dispensers and stuff, they're equipped for Cintas products. So not only are the prices comparable and we've been very happy with Cintas all these years, but it would cost extra to have to put a new company's stuff in. So I am recommending that we stick with Cintas and renew the contract.
I don't know, $82 a week to have paper towels and air fresheners, I just think that's horrible. I'm sorry. I just like,
That's
I'm real
UniFirst, that was
Yeah.
UniFirst, I know. But
When I didn't
Cintas,
see it, I couldn't understand the pricing.
yeah, Cintas, I don't know what the weekly price is.
I mean, in the usage, I mean, I guess we just used a whole lot of paper towels tonight, so our usage.
Take that as
Just like, I don't know if that makes us have a surcharge or not, I don't know, I'm just like.
Next time, take your shirt
He's
off.
not amused.
What's that?
He's not amused.
And then, is this another 5-year contract?
I know, we were trying to get out of this before, and I just kind of like, I can't for the life of me, can't understand why we can't fill paper towel holders and get soap dispensers and
We do fill our
sanitizers
paper
done,
towel holders when they run
done
out.
cheaper ourselves.
We do fill them when they're empty.
Well,
This
I
is
know,
just the
but they're
delivery.
charging us to, I mean,
Rachel's recommendation was to renew.
yeah, I know, I'm just like,
I didn't hear that, thank you.
I couldn't decipher the Cintas quote for how much it is.
I know, I couldn't either. It
So
doesn't-
I can't really legitimately stand here and vote to continue a contract that I can't decipher. I'm sorry.
We have a recommendation to continue with Cintas. Is there a motion to approve it or disapprove it?
I make a motion to disapprove it.
We have a motion to disapprove it. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion because I want to get more information on Cintas. I need to understand the deal.
What is our deadline for canceling Cintas? Before it automatically renews, because I can ask them to break it down differently, but before, is our deadline going to come before our next meeting?
That's just not just only your air freshener and whatever, but it's also your trash bags and all that other stuff too.
They clean the floor mat.
And the rugs too.
It's your first aid
Well,
kit.
they
Your
do
first aid
mats and
kits, your
stuff.
There's a lot of other things involved.
Don't they do the rugs too, Pete?
Yeah, they do roads and everything too.
You know the deadline.
I don't have to talk about.
I don't know, there's a minimum charge of $35 for delivery, so I mean, again. if they're
I just
coming
know that we
every
used to go to Wyatt or the Wise paper. They used to.
Yeah, they've
Yeah, they're
tried,
gone.
like Greg and Pete have both tried other
It's close to the
routes
same
to like, for,
cost.
to buy things.
Instead of
and-
wasting town guys' time running up
I
there,
agree.
gas,
Yeah.
vehicle.
And
It all
our,
works out the same.
and our tech is a very, very good worker.
Yeah.
He's here, you can almost set your watch when he's coming.
I don't know who the route supervisor is now, but we had been in contact with them before. I mean, they will come out, they'll talk to us, but we need to make sure we don't let it just renew and not get answers to these questions.
I don't know, we had very much heartburn over them
Oh,
with
yeah.
uniforms and this, like a 5-year contract and minimum, again, I just, if they can afford to pay someone to come and do this, I don't know how we can't have our staff just take care of our bathrooms.
I can ask them to break it down differently, but please be aware that if you don't go with Cintas, you're going with UniFirst, because nobody else wants to give you a quote for these services. So
I don't wanna go with them, I want to do it in-house. Like I said, I'm just like.
how
I
do
just-
it in-house?
Like we
You
buy
go to
our
Dollar
paper
General with
towels
paper
and
towels?
soap and put it in the dispenser and, you know, you're going
There-
Well,
out.
you'll have
it's-
to, you'll have to go back to
you
your
were-
dispensers
Marilyn, I'm
and
cheap.
everything, cause Cintas.
But
will
there-
take all
Cintas
their
does a
equipment
whole
back.
lot.
Why do they have to be in a dispenser though? Why do you have to have all that?
Well,
Well,
hey, you have to have something at the park because the kids destroy them. So that's why we have that. We have tried putting just like Dial soap out and they squirt it all over the floor and create messes for us to clean up. So that's why we have those dispensers.
I think occupational safety, health wise, it's better for us to have a service like that. It keeps it uniform and consistent. We can always say that, we are.
So this is counting the park? I mean,
This is for all
I
of
didn't think
our,
this was counting the park.
it's all the facilities, right?
So it's not just the sewer plant, the water plant.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Well, again, I can't vote on something that I don't know what my price is. I just don't understand the price. I'm sorry.
Well, we have a motion on the floor not to renew it.
So
And
they
we
can
have a
give us a new
second.
contract. as far as I'm
All
concerned.
in
Can you
favor?
modify the motion to table it, get it broken down for you, Marilee?
Well, how long is the contract for?
5
years.
years.
And I mean, why,
Which gives me heartburn.
That's
too.
crazy.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's.
Are they gonna keep that price the same for 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
It doesn't.
What was the other price, $82?
A week, yeah.
That's $4,200.
Yeah. I mean, that's just for paper towels. Is that
I
what
mean,
you
that's-
said?
You're not doing
Yeah.
Paper towels, soap dispensers, mats,
Trash bags, everything.
trash bags.
Everything.
They carry out
Yeah,
mats
we do.
and clean.
We do our own, but I mean, we're small. It's a house.
Yeah.
We all-
And it's only you guys using
Yeah,
it,
that's
it's
what I
not
mean.
everybody. in the
No,
park
no,
using
no,
it.
I'm not arguing.
Well, and again, I mean, I could be talked into it if they just do the park and not some of these others if it's a lesser price. I just, again, I just want to make sure we're spending people's money wisely as a small business owner. I mean, we do it ourselves.
Okay, for the third time, we have
Well,
a
there's a motion and
motion
a
and we have a second not to renew it. Any more discussion? All in favor of not renewing, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Yes.
Uh-oh. I don't
Roll
know.
call.
Uh-oh, is it 3-3?
Who was
Yeah,
even the
right,
second? I
right.
missed
Yeah,
who the
3 and
second
3.
was.
Three and
To break
three.
out.
He just,
I get to break the tie and I vote no too. Now, we have a motion to accept Cintas.
I would make,
You just-
I would ask them to provide us with a better cost breakdown
Okay,
and less than a 5-year.
get a hold of them and see what we can do and get a breakdown on every item. line item.
Well, it's
See how
not
much it
every
is.
line item, but.
I can't even follow
We're gonna
what's
get a
going on
breakdown.
here.
It's-
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Does it have to be for 5 years?
Yeah,
that's what-
we'll
that's
ask
my
them,
question.
we'll ask them, we'll ask them. Proposal for revolving line of credit, Rachel? Sure.
She's making notes.
I'm gonna start this topic, just clarifying that I'm not asking you guys to approve this proposal from Middletown Valley Bank tonight. This was that Middletown Valley Bank had heard that we would potentially be looking at a revolving line of credit just for some gap financing because we are depending heavily, well, entirely, basically, on grants for all of the large projects that we have going and the ones that are getting ready to start. And these grants have you put up the money first and then you get reimbursed. And for both Chase 6 grants and the 1.5 million for the reservoir, the grant agreement's not even signed by the Board of Public Works yet. So we are still a ways away from getting the money. So Middletown Valley Bank approached me and just gave us a proposal for what we would be looking at. And to all the other banks in the area, we are not approving this tonight. I just want you guys to see, these are the kind of terms that we're looking at. And I think for everyone's peace of mind, and honestly, for me to sleep at night, I would really like to take out a line of credit just so that we are covered if the reimbursements are taking forever, if some of our funding ends up getting denied, all the other funding that's being cut, and just to cover us, just to be safe. I mean, Chase 6 is hopefully gonna be starting very, very soon, and we don't have any of that funding in place except for what the county commissioners promised us, and that's reimbursement based too. So I think that we really should go the route of having even a small line of credit. They had, Stan Burnett, Middletown Valley Bank had asked how much we would potentially need, and I said that I think $2 million would be good for us to be safe, just keeping in mind how many projects we have going. So this is just to bring to your attention that this is something I think that we should do. And I would like to talk to the other banks in town and see what kind of rates they would be able to offer. But worst case scenario, this is what we'd be looking at.
I think having a lot revolving line of credit is a wise idea with the town.
Very
cool. I called Rachel because, someone saw this on the agenda from a competing bank and wanted to make sure they got an opportunity to put in, a bid. So, she explained to me, we're just talking about the topic, we weren't accepting anything tonight, so.
And on that note, we do not, if I understand our policy right, which I think I do because I revised it, we do not have to seek bids for things like this. Yes, we should reach out and see what other rates we can get, because as Marilee keeps saying, this is not our money, this is taxpayer money, we should be trying to get the best deal, so we should reach out and get others, but we do not have to post this in a public notice or get formal quotes or anything like that.
I have one thought. Should we be looking at not renewing some of our CDs so that we can look at funding some of these shortfalls until,
Well, our
you gotta-
CDs are kind of on 30 or
But I'm
90-day things, so they're kind of.
But still excessive, if we could take them out with a penalty, but I'm just saying, should we look at maybe scaling back on some of them, holding some of this back in the general fund, should we need it? I'm just asking.
I would say no.
No,
Just
I don't-
because,
yeah,
if we had a line of credit, we would have to.
But we have the money too.
We have the money, but.
Well, we have some, but,
Okay, well, what are we holding it for?
The penalty goes against the earnings, it's not like a penalty on the capital.
I know I know how CDs work, I'm just
well, we'll
saying.
also have to get back into the topic then if it's general fund and if it's water projects, you know what I mean? If
Right.
we're paying back and forth, which I understand, but I mean, we do
It's just a
have,
thought, we have
I
cash.
understand that.
So,
And I think that can be used as bridge gap financing as well.
Okay.
But I also kind of feel like it's a nice fallback in
It is, it is.
something happens as we're doing one of these projects and it explodes more so than we will.
And keep it, as I already said, but just to your point about the CDs, if we keep that money almost literally in our back pocket, the 1.5 million for the reservoir and a total of 700,000 for Chase 6 has not even been formally approved by the Board of Public Works. Now, had this been previous administration, it would have been like, it's as good as signed. Now I have genuine concern that there's a chance it won't get approved.
Okay.
So we might end up needing that money
Okay.
for like a whole different purpose.
All right.
But that was a good idea. I hadn't
Yeah.
even thought about those.
But yeah, but I mean, like, we have some coming due us every month. If we got one coming due for money for a while.
I understand that. And I could stop it if I had to, that's all I'm saying.
So as to what you're saying, I don't mind reaching out to other banks. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'd
I
like to.
remember
at
the
least
last
give us
time
a
we
little
did
bit of-
this, I thought Middletown Valley was our
I
best.
kind of thought it
So,
was too, but
Absolutely
again,
reach
since
out.
somebody
Yeah.
was actually paying attention, reading
Sure.
an agenda and asked, I feel like we at least owe
When
that.
Jared reached out to all the other banks, nobody came close to Middletown.
So,
Thanks
So,
for bringing that up. But
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember if we'd ever even made a final decision or kind of just left it in the topic.
It just got dropped because we didn't need it
We didn't
because
need
the
it.
quotes came in under.
So we'll revisit.
Okay, review of the fiscal year 26 draft budget. Rachel, you all did a very good job.
Yes.
Okay. My throat's getting dry. That's it, that'll work.
You want some candy, I don't know if you have a preference for,
No.
anything good in it?
Mr. Mayor, offer, we dismissed it.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm not keeping you guys out, but don't feel like you have to stay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
But
Pete doesn't have to stay.
I mean, you don't want to stay for the exciting budget discussion?
I think you have to
If you
stay.
want to stay, please do, I just.
Barbara's on comes quick.
Yeah,
Chief doesn't need to stay, the
Thank you for
police
your
department doesn't need to stay.
What? You don't
want to stay? How, you don't think we might fight amongst ourselves and we have another, 2
Gillis got a second sliding
Do you
board.
want to go over his first?
I mean, I can do that just in case you.
That's
have
fine.
anything.
That's fine.
You're like-
Yeah, you're welcome to stay. I'm saying, don't feel that you.
She's gonna go over ours first in case you guys have any questions, so. Yeah.
Oh, well, I did a couple columns. Oh, you do?
Are you-
I
you
did,
guys
like,
off yet, or-
you know,
Yeah, we're
after
just-
compared to-
Hey, there was a homeless guy coming into town, multiple backpacks, headed up in towards us. I'm not.
I don't know if it's the same one. I've seen one a couple times. Just
Dark hair, not a big guy, white guy.
Yeah, white guy.
No, he was coming up 40 when I was coming here, so. He was almost to Brandon, so.
Okay. Well, hell, that was 2 hours ago.
I'm wondering if he knows the parks there and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a warm night, so. You know, bathing in the street.
I'll go check it.
Do we need to wait for Howard?
No, you can get started.
Alright, so the police department, all of their expenses, unlike other
We
departments,
should be.
all of their expenses are under the general fund. So, the chief worked in the salaries that he is anticipating, overtime, a holiday pay. We had talked about in a previous mayor and council meeting that instead of having, it is the floating holiday.
It is a
so
floating
We
holiday.
didn't have a
Yes.
line item for that, so
No.
that's new. Payroll taxes, the health and standard life insurance, that is really, for health life insurance is just a guess.
We dropped that by about $70,000.
Well, and that was my comment, because we have that policy in force where if they have their own insurance, and we pay them $1,000 or something different, is that what?
Yeah, the only person in our whole department that has insurance is Bill.
Okay.
So we only have one, so that's why there was no sense in holding that at like 89,000.
No.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
significant difference.
Yeah.
So, but that is the policy.
But now what if
They get paid.
somebody leaves, we
If
have
they
to
don't
hire
take the
someone?
insurance,
Right.
if they do not take it, then at the end of that calendar year, if they did not use the insurance at all, they get $1,000.
Correct, and we have put that in there, so that we know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, it's gonna get $4,000.
Well, and Amy's always gotten two. So, well, it's 5, so 4 people.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
4 people.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
he's right.
didn't, and I
Yeah.
think that I had thought about it, but
It's okay.
it was
I'm good,
always
yeah.
off,
Right,
so it's okay.
so we just need to make sure we account for that, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna pay it out.
Yeah, my thought was we might have it get estimated a little low.
And I'm pretty sure I've worked it into certainly other areas. I mean, basically the gist of it is I gave almost everything about a 2 or 3% increase because a lot of those numbers have been stagnant for 5 and 6 years.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I remember coming here, my uniform pants was $25, now they're $45. You know, so, I mean, it's the inflation that it's hit everyone, you know, so.
Well, I was just looking at, we spent 18,008 year to date, so
Yes,
I was thinking 24 might be low, especially
but
if we
that
have
had
to pay
Tom in
that.
it for 2 months.
Okay, but we also gotta pay the
Oh,
cost.
really?
The health insurance, I think. is
18.
Health insurance, yeah.
But like I said,
Well, as of March 7th, it's 22,000.
Oh, okay, so it's gone up already, so.
Yeah.
I think.
it's running, what, about
24 might be a little
1,700 a
low.
month right now, Rachel, I think is what I
And
looked at.
have we gotten quotes for what it's gonna be?
Well, that's just it.
No, they
Tim had
haven't
told
come
me
out
that
yet.
comes in after
Yeah,
July.
that's what I thought.
That's usually
Yeah.
August, September when our new,
1,700 a month is only 20,000.
that's what, I know, that's why I kind of gave it a little cushion for $4,000
Okay.
increments. I mean, I'm keeping it pretty close, I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, I think there's money else places in the budget.
And then I was also slightly concerned on the workers' comp number. We were at 19.4
Yes,
at the end of February, so I was just, not knowing what our increase is gonna be.
okay,
That's usually where the heaviest hit is.
okay. What did I figure for that, Rick? Look,
24,000.
24.
okay. And we're at what right now?
19,431,
in the
second of February.
Okay,
So they were my only
I mean,
numbers I thought we might have to make go up a little bit.
again, I think in other areas, we can certainly cover that if it goes over that this year, I mean, but if you think, I mean, I certainly can't think it would need more than a $3,000 bump. I mean, I think that would get us there comfortable, don't you, Kim? Yeah,
I would think so.
yeah. I mean,
Are you just making notes or are you making changes, Rachel?
I'm gonna make changes,
Okay.
so if you break that, looking at the workers' comp, if you break that down into the 9 months, because April, May, June, so into the 9 months.
Right.
And then use that rate for 12 months, it's 29.4, so I'll just go ahead and I
Make it-
tried to.
Make it 30.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so for the health and life insurance,
Rachel, I don't know if it helps, but the way I did the budget is we've had 17 pays so far this year, so 9 remaining. That's how I did it per pay. I thought it would give me a little bit closer than doing it even monthly,
Right.
so,
I said those backwards. The health and life insurance is what should be 30.
okay,
The workers' comp should be like 26.
okay.
So we'll just go ahead and do it so it's safe.
Okay.
And is the 30 gonna count the $1,000 check?
No, I'll add that in later, I just wanna go
Okay.
in and double check, cause I'll have to do it for all staff, so I'll just do those all later, I wrote it down.
Okay.
Police department equipment, so typically runs about 15,000. And then, chief had identified several items that we should be looking at getting, so that included, additional blocks, replacing OC spray, office chairs, AED pads, and new vests, so this.
Okay, wait a minute. They're allowed to get an office chair and we can't get a new chair. I'm just saying,
They put it in their budget.
I know, well, I.
Did you put it in yours?
In our budget, and she,
So what I
fussed
did
at
was-
me. I'm willing to fill papers out so we can get a chair.
Now, they're budgeted for the $3,000 next year. I'm just messing with Mary Lou.
So Chief had identified a lot of, well, not a lot, just, he submitted his budget for, just what he expects and the things that are just routine, and then he also had an additional list with prices of things that we should really be thinking about. I went ahead and included all of those that were, there were 2 higher dollar items that I didn't include,
Yes.
but all the smaller things like OC spray, I just went ahead and worked into what he needs.
I didn't, like I said, I didn't have any questions other than I thought we might have estimated health insurance and worker comp a little low
And
based on.
on the vest, we just bought vests last year with the drug seizure, so it didn't cost the account. The vest that Rachel's showing right there was to get rifle plates for the officers. They have inserts for rifle plates, and they stop a rifle round. And it was to buy one additional vest, just so we have a spare in case, God
Somebody
forbid,
gets-
somebody
yeah.
gets hit. They can't use that vest anymore. And same way with the Glocks. I figured 2 Glocks, we have no, and, guns right now, extra. So it would be nice if something malfunctions, the tasers. are you asking for new or?
That's what I was asking.
I don't know, didn't we have a demonstration on this?
Yeah,
Well,
we did, but these,
Not on
they don't,
tasers.
they don't, like this one's out of stock.
well,
Well, we did on the.
Yeah.
that
We had a
wasn't-
demonstration.
what's happening is Taser is coming out with new tasers every couple of years. And then they're not making parts for the old.
Like, we won't be able to get.
So my recommendation is to get through another year or two, switch to Axon, which is Taser, not only Taser, but body cam. And then you lease them and they forever take care of them. And when something new comes out,
They
then
get replaced,
you get
upgraded.
replaced automatically. It costs about, right now, it's about $800 an officer, per month. I mean, it's not, yeah, I know. So what Rachel's saying, the two things that she didn't put in, the county just switched to all new radios. They went back to
We
Motorola.
had that conversation.
They're $10,000 a radio. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
just crazy.
it is.
And
It's
that's what
ludicrous.
they're paying?
Well, they get grants through the ECC, and so that's what me and Rachel are gonna look, we're not putting that in the budget. And the other big ticket item is the cameras that we did not put in the budget, because, even if we add to the current system, you're probably looking at 50,000 to put 5 or 6 new cameras in. If we switch to a new system, talking 6 figures.
Can Amy check on grants? Because she did do that grant writing.
She has been
She
to, and
watches
yes,
them,
yeah,
and we both are watching them and forward to one another,
yeah, they're back and
see
forth
if
all the
there's
time.
something. So far, nothing has been applicable for what we need.
And we've got the
But that's-
Harrises, and I think we can make do for another year. They're not gonna stop working, with the new system, but they're just not as good. They, when you're down in Dargan or something and, or Sandy Hook, they don't work. So,
Well, they don't pay us tax.
Tell them y'all can't go down there now.
I know, well,
And see, the other thing that worries me is that you all get that police aid, but we can't designate it to your department because it's part of the general fund, but
Yeah.
that's $43,000.
yes, yes,
But we try to consider that when we look at what y'all want,
I know,
but it's hard just to say that we can plug that number in
sure.
and say that's yours to spend.
No,
Well,
I,
it is
yeah,
there,
Well,
technically, because it's restricted.
Exactly, but it's hard to make that.
to show.
It
Yeah.
doesn't show side by side
Right,
on the
right.
expenses,
So-
but, and we do need to make sure we're filling that form out as well as we
Well,
can.
Amy does
to
that
Make
one,
sure
doesn't
we
she?
get
She-
as much as we can, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've,
The
But of course,
police aid-
with the state in the situation they are,
yes,
that
I mean,
doesn't mean they won't be cutting what they send
yes.
municipalities.
Those numbers are completely based off of our budget numbers
Yes.
for the fiscal year and then the audit numbers. You don't,
We
there's,
don't get to.
We don't do a report or.
you do a report, but you have to then submit your budget and your audit so that they
Okay.
can prove that those numbers are the exact numbers.
Okay, okay.
A big grant come out, I think last week, wasn't it, Rachel, for gun, cities, municipalities with gun violence. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands, but
But we don't have.
thank God we don't.
We don't qualify.
But I mean, it was.
Didn't those people at 280 Main, North Main have guns? I knew the police, they were there.
That's another formula-based fund, and you have to submit your data, and I
Yes.
don't think
Yes.
we're gonna get an award if we have 2
Yeah.
gun violence.
I pray we don't have
Yeah.
gun violence problems ever, so I'm good with that.
So I think that's it for, the police department budget. I hadn't really thought about it till now, Dave, but you said 18,000 for vehicle maintenance.
Yes, and I think that's gonna be high.
That is
We-
very high compared to
Well,
what we are doing.
I gave it an increase,
Okay.
but now that we've got we've got 2 old vehicles left. But there's one in here to turn over, which would be the Tahoe, which has got almost 200,000 miles on it. So that takes us down to the black Charger with, how many miles is on that, Billy?
134,000.
So another 2 years with that. I mean, the reason we're seeing nothing under, vehicle maintenance is because we're not having, fuel pumps and oil pumps and head gaskets.
You're gonna
I mean,
just jinx yourself.
I
And
know.
also because
Stop.
Public Works has been able to do
Oh my
some
God, well,
stuff for you guys.
the headlights in my Tahoe, they literally, one side or the other burns out about every 2 or 3 months. They were charging us $100.
Oh, I know.
Greg fixed it for 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and his guys, I mean, it's, yeah.
Ernie and Greg
So
have been doing a lot for all the town
Is the
vehicles.
capital outlay for a vehicle,
That's a
is it
vehicle.
towards camera, just for a vehicle?
That's a vehicle, which we hit, what, around 60,000 this year, wasn't it, Kim?
6342.
We're hoping to be maybe a little less than that this coming year. Ford's supposed to have a reduction in police vehicles, and we're also looking at a Jeep. So, yeah.
No horse?
Well,
No, I was wondering if there was a horse.
I'm okay
in the
with
budget.
that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
About bike.
We have,
Working on it.
well, DC is starting to decommission. So,
Oh, yeah.
yes. So he's bike certified, and I
Oh.
mean, yes. So if he's trying to get his old bike, maybe around 10, but we would have that left
You have
over.
contingency
Yeah.
funds, so you
And
can
what,
use that on
even
something
what
like
we have left over in the vehicle budget this year is almost 10,000. So, you know, yeah, I think we could make.
So
it
instead
work.
of chips, we'll have bips?
Yeah, there you go.
You're talking about motorcycles, not bikes.
Yeah.
Chip, remember the
Oh.
highway?
Remember chips?
You're old enough to stop back.
Yeah.
Actually, whereas for the police budget,
I saw the
if you
movie.
guys don't have any further
Watch some
questions
John,
or
right?
concerns, I can let these poor guys get out.
Yep, we're good with the po-po.
I'm not kicking you out again.
No, I get up.
It's
to work on
9:30,
the
I'm sure you want.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all for
You
coming.
send Billy to the Dollar General for
Sorry
paper
it's so long.
towels and, hand cleaner. We'll-
You can send me a list.
Good to go.
Well, that's what we do now, so I mean, we're good with that. He'll get everybody.
We'll send you for the Cintas contract.
Can't we just order them from Amazon? Do we have an Amazon account? Cases of, I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Thanks, Chief.
Yes, yes, sir. See you there. Take care.
All right, I guess we'll just start at the top.
See you later.
So
See you guys.
the, what did we end up deciding for the constant yield?
The number's in there.
We're staying the same, okay, so that's 1,490,973. And then a lot of these, there's not really anything to discuss, they just are what they are. License and permits. We found that there's been some inconsistency in charging permits for, town items, which actually is the next line item, but we are working out a process to make sure that nothing is missed from now on, so I tried to be very conservative with revenue and just overestimate our expenses, just to make sure that we're safe. So some of these numbers might look a little small, or they're smaller than what like Drew gave me, but I was trying to be safe. State aid police protection, we were just talking about, it's a guess, because I don't even know when we get that dollar amount, but it hasn't
It's-
been yet.
It comes like quarterly, I believe, and.
Well, that's
No, I
how we
mean,
pay, but I mean, what you're gonna get
Oh,
for the next
what
year
the-
probably
yeah,
might come
okay.
in May.
So
It
we're-
might
I
be
just,
later than that.
I just estimated 43,000.
Yeah, it's better to estimate low.
Yeah. And I'm anticipating it might go down since we, well, no, now that we have more officers.
We
I
have
think
more
it will go
officers
up
in the
because we have
budget,
more
but with the
expenses.
state,
You don't know.
you don't know.
The highway user revenue, they have decided, but as with everything else, that could be revoked. So this is
Right.
the number they told us it would be.
Right.
And I was just looking at how much we've gotten, you know what I mean, year to date, which is way lagging of what they owe.
For highway user revenue.
Uh-huh. Looks like, cause this, you have in there 27,006. is what they've got.
That too comes in very sporadically.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Um,
comes in even amounts.
No.
No, I know it's lagging, but I mean, not just the super lagging.
Well, as of March 7th, it was almost 75,000.
Still, but we've
But still,
budgeted
yes,
220,
it's very low.
you know what I mean, 255, so.
And it's always months behind.
Yeah, yeah.
So like maybe the last check we got was like November's or December's. I mean,
Oh,
it's,
really?
yeah, I mean, I don't know for certain what the
But still,
date
if
was, but
December's, then we only got 75, then we're looking at 150, not
Right.
250. You gotta go with what they told us, but like you
Yeah.
said, we just wouldn't do paving.
So that's what I was
comes in
gonna
lower.
say, to address your concern, half of our highway user revenue is planned for paving. And I think Greg said there was nothing that was really super urgent to be addressed this year. So it's not like we have, you know, a really bad situation, and if they cut our funding for it, then we just don't go on paving. Sanitation sanitation charges, reflects the increase that had been discussed, at least in the budget meeting, I don't know.
Yeah,
when
well,
it was
we
initially brought up.
talked about going up 5 because we're still not even collecting what we need to
Correct.
pay our current bills.
So, yeah,
It's a $5 increase.
we're going to end up paying for sanitation, we're going to end up paying,
220 minus 194. Do- head.
219, 294.
220 minus 125,000.
Not even counting the tipping fee.
Yes,
Yeah.
and 60,000 for tipping fees.
So
And
that's why
then,
we put it at 35.
so that increase still takes us closer, but we're still under what, we're gonna end up spending. For other revenue, interest and dividends, Marilee looked at that and we kind of modified it. I think we were good at 100,000. Let's see what else. The town farm rental is actually 2,800 for the Thomases and then 200 for the beekeepers.
When's the last time we raised that?
Beekeepers?
The town farm.
We're in a contract with them. That contract was renewed, I believe, last year.
Yeah, well, just recently.
It was before I started, but it hasn't been more than,
Hadn't been that long.
That's
Okay. Alright.
don't ask me about beekeepers. I couldn't begin.
I didn't even know we,
I didn't even know we had them
about
until a few
beekeepers.
weeks ago. So.
that must be Chucky, baby.
EDC meetings and networking, so they are the only commissions that
Smith's brother.
I kept their amount the same, and I'll just go ahead and explain that. We talked about this in the budget meeting, that these volunteers only get $10 per meeting, and yeah, it's a volunteer position. However, they really do put, at least most of them, I mean, there's a few oddballs that barely participate, but most of them, they really put in a lot of time and effort. They make phone calls and they get prices for stuff, and they, just like the concerts alone that Sandy Schiffler sets up, all kinds of phone calls and stuff to get those lined up. So I proposed increasing it to $20, which would have been doubling, and then.
Is that just the EDC though?
No, it's not the
It's all
EDC.
commissions.
The EDC does not get paid per meeting, they get breakfast at their meetings.
Okay.
Which actually, at first I balked at that, but then when I broke it down, don't tell them it actually costs us less than paying the other commissions. Yeah, it does. So, we don't tell them that, but, so the EDC is the only commission that is not changing. All the other commissions, I think Eric's the one who said make it 25, so.
That's a lot, Eric.
Yeah, no.
Okay, hear me out
I
here.
don't think that's very much.
It's been a really long time since they have been, I have no idea when that was increased. And also, in the grand scheme of things, it really didn't raise our expenses that much, because when I first started playing with numbers, like, you barely noticed it. And I think that the message it sends is much more valuable, that we know you guys do a lot and put a lot of time into this. Like,
Because
think
you
about
figure minimum wage is getting close to $20, and they're definitely here for an hour or better. I mean, it's just,
But that's not just the meetings,
Right,
that's
that's what-
like
yeah.
the things that they don't get paid for, like the
Right.
old time Christmas and Green Fest and all the other stuff they do. They're not getting meeting fees for going to those events, but like Green Fest is 9 to 2. They're there all day. So I think it just to show them that we see what you're doing and we appreciate it. But
I did, because I just got the budget from my commission, and when it said 25 for 8 members, I thought, holy moly, I thought it was only 10. I was shocked to see.
yeah.
it's a
Okay.
proposal, we gotta vote on it.
And another thing, the numbers, again, not the EDC, but the other commissions, the numbers you'll see in there is if they had all positions filled, all the
come to every
commissions have
meeting.
vacancies.
Right.
So none of them are gonna be as much as it looks like. And plus, not all members come to every single meeting, so. Anyway, as I hope you guys are aware, with the BTA being now up and running, they're taking over the food truck festival and, what's the other, is it Spring?
Fall Fest or the spring?
Spring
yeah,
Jubilee.
Spring
Spring
Jubilee.
Spring
Is
Jubilee.
it the Spring
Spring
Jubilee?
Jubilee.
So the
Which raised last
BTA,
Yeah.
the BTA is taking over those two things, which means that it's saving us a whole bunch of money to not have to deal with them. But on that note, especially since the BTA is new, I was going to propose that the town sponsor those events by giving some funding towards it. Now, for the food truck festival, I just put in $2,000. That festival ends up costing between $10,000 and $12,000. The food truck festival does. So $2,000 really is 20% or less of burnout.
I thought that was supposed to like be self-sufficient.
It might be, but the amounts they charge the vendors to come set up does not cover everything.
Right, because they sit there and blow it on a band.
Advertising.
They also charge a very low fee for the, what do they charge? I want to say $75.
Yeah, it's something really
I know
low.
everybody enjoys it, but
That was the whole purpose of it, so they'd be self-sufficient.
yeah.
Well, I just put
because
that
they
in
wanted to be able to charge for beer and wine, and they were gonna
That's why BTA. does
make
that.
themselves.
I
Yeah,
just figured
that's
that
where we had
since,
heartburn.
I mean, it's saving town staff time from having to deal with it, especially the
Is
food
it
truck
because if
festival.
they sit there and give it to Brian?
No, they're not. We are working on that issue as to what is being assigned to not only Brian, but Kim, because apparently things are being assigned to Kim as well. So
Okay.
that is a work in
I
progress.
just, this for,
And
to
it's
me,
supposed
shocks
to be
me how
filtered
they do
through me.
things if they're business people, but.
Well, I'm glad it is filtered through you.
Well, it's supposed to be. I didn't say it was successful yet, but it was getting a little bit outrageous. And then I thought they were easing up on Brian, and that was when I found out they started sending stuff to Kim. So I was like, all right, well, that didn't work.
Speak up.
Is it Natoma that does like the?
Natoma just
That
comes
is
first.
notorious for that, yes.
But anyway, I put in the sponsorship just because I thought it would be, just something nice, like it does benefit the town and it is held in town. So just if you guys wanted to look good and contribute a couple $1,000, I just put it in, you don't have to keep it. And then the same thing for the Spring Jubilee, only $1,000 for that one, but I don't remember how much the Spring Jubilee usually costs. So that's what those, I haven't even made it.
I was gonna say, I didn't even see where you were.
I'm
What line are
sorry.
you on, girl?
Well, I jumped into the
Yeah.
commission budget, I'm sorry. You're
Okay.
fine. So the reason I got started on that is because we won't be dealing with the food
Right.
truck vendor fees anymore. And then the farmer's market vendor, so that goes to the environmental commission. Do you want me to keep going down the master, or do you want me to just address the commissions one by one now? Because they're all sort of mixed.
I was
together.
kind of interested in the farmer's market stipends, stipends.
That's not new, that's what it already is. So,
A money specialist though, what is that? I have no clue.
So they get Maryland Money Market.
Yeah, isn't that the food?
It's kind of like a food stamp kind of thing.
Right.
And it requires a lot of management of like what's coming in, what's being paid. Because what happens is, say you have $10 of money market money and you go to buy apples or whatever. They can only take, instead of taking $8 for the apples, they can only take $4 for the apples. It's like this weird.
When you think about it, just throw it out.
So the town is paying somebody to take care of that money that we're short? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
don't the checks come to the town and then you have to pay the vendors because it's, if somebody has a.
But we're paying a manager to
Food stamp
a
card,
money specialist.
they can use it to buy fresh vegetables and all, but it runs through the town. It is a little complicated, but I know from being in there and helping before that you gotta, it like goes through the town.
and while you're in the farmer's market stipends, the co-managers are, the two, what is it, Kathy
Jen.
and Jennifer, that, they take care of everything for the farmer's market, like getting the vendors set up and deciding who's gonna sit where, and they're at, I think, every farmer's market, like directing where the trucks are supposed to go, and if there's stuff going on, so I believe that's why they get stipends, but
I
that
mean,
was
just
mostly-
remember, if they're at 600, they gotta be 1099.
That's what it.
Well,
that's not
and she
new.
did,
That's what it was
because
last
Brian
year.
asked me,
Okay,
Does Kathy know she's getting
Under
1099?
6, you're okay, but if it's at 600, they gotta get 1099.
Okay, then what about a social media specialist that paying $400 for, or we are?
So what happens is Jen and Kathy split up all the duties. I believe last year Jen did the social media stuff. I know previously they had outsourced it to another lady, but I don't have an answer for you who's doing it this upcoming season.
But when they say social media, they're doing Facebook and,
Yes, they do Facebook and Instagram.
okay.
They do videos during the
So they're
farmer's
just paying
market.
somebody a
They-
stipend to be the one that manages it and do it and make sure it gets
I mean,
done.
heck, I do it for free for the town, so
I
I
know.
mean.
I know, it's just,
Well, and why is Green Fest flyers in there? Because I thought Green Fest was its own nonprofit.
We give money towards, it's not even Green Fest anymore.
Okay.
It's the swap and recycling event. They don't call it Green Fest anymore.
Right.
And it's the week before our spring bulk cleanup.
Right.
To help get rid of a lot of stuff that people would normally throw away at bulk cleanup.
There's a way, I mean, there's stuff for them.
So
to
basically
recycle.
what we pay for is
Save
like,
in tipping fees, but not having to
yes.
get what we're trying to get.
And any, like, you know, they use some of that money for like,
The fire police then too.
Because it's their, they gotta have,
I
traffic
know,
control.
but doesn't Green Fest collect its own money and have its own bank account?
I
and
think,
own-
oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it does.
I can't go to this Wednesday's because it's out of town.
so my understanding is they no longer,
Oh, wait, is it their meeting? Yes, their
I
meeting.
don't think they don't collect vendor fees anymore because they don't have vendors anymore.
Okay. So are they gonna surrender their bank account back to us if there's money in? I mean, or is this gonna now become a town sponsored event or?
I don't know.
Well, I think it, well,
Yeah,
see,
bank
mine just
Yes,
says
they
event
have their
flyers.
own
She had
PO
agreed
box
that
and
too.
bank account.
Maybe shouldn't have done that. See, the original one came out that said just event flyers.
Yeah.
Then she changed it to
Laura-
Green Fest side, maybe. it
Laura
needs
called me
Yes.
and said that I was missing a couple things and I had to go back and dig. And I found that whatever the public education was previously labeled as, that is where we end up coding the Green Fest event flyers.
Might have
And then-
something to do with qualifying for the.
Sustainable
So,
Maryland.
thank you.
But then also she told me that the TerraCycle boxes were missing and I found that I actually had those under community garden. So, I mean, please forgive me, I'm still learning what this crap is. So the,
Hey, I'm on the committee, you don't know what a terrace is.
so that didn't change, it just was recategorized.
Well, I'm really concerned where it says
$300
gloves for the Clean Earth Challenge,
Yeah.
because $500 is a lot for gloves, and she came in here and said
agree.
the only thing we would need to get were gloves.
Well, we must have gotten them from Cintas.
No.
I've got to
I
say
looked
that.
on Amazon and they're like $20
You
some
don't
dollars.
send time.
Well, I don't think that she was planning on getting just like standard gloves like everybody used in COVID. I think she wanted.
I don't know, I
to get,
just
like,
pick up the trash and wash my hands first.
sturdier one. Well, you gotta think, I mean, I hope we don't have heroin needles laying around, but you don't know what people are gonna find in town. So she might have been planning on thicker ones. I don't know. I just put $500 in. I didn't know how much you guys.
Look
were
at this, look at the sliding board, who knows?
That is true.
Okay, that's on school property. That is not our
Yeah,
problem.
but it could expand.
If,
So-
if it happens there, it could happen here.
I just want to
Billy's
remind
on
you
top.
guys, I put this together based on historical numbers and what I hear about and know about. I'm not married to these numbers. If you don't want to give $500 for the Clean Earth Challenge, I will not lose sleep over it.
So you want,
If you
Well,
don't
our
get
meeting
involved in line of credit, I'm gonna lose sleep. But I don't really care how much we can show you.
Yeah, she was talking about getting gloves that were thick.
Well, my only concern is, I just don't want them to spend 500 unnecessarily and then they end up, and we don't know where they're at. Or if they only spend 200, they think they can blow the 300 on some other project. That's
We want a
what
receipt
do.
for the $500 worth of gloves.
Well, you
that's
guys
another
can order
thing
it, so you
that
don't
is
pay
being
tax.
changed,
Yeah.
and I need to tell Laura that this habit that the commissions have formed where they buy stuff and then they have us reimburse them is over. Because we have a tax-free Amazon account where we can be buying this crap and not paying the taxes. And that also will make it so that I can monitor what they're buying. Because like after Old Time Christmas, when those receipts were coming in, I about lost my mind. Like they just went crazy with the crap they were buying. And that just needs to be monitored. I'm not saying we can't buy the stuff, but there is a reason, and I know that the commissions aren't happy with me about it, and I'm okay with it.
Well, I don't care, I'll bring it, I'll tell
But
them
no,
that too.
they're not happy that I did the budget for them, because I've had numerous comments that, well, I always do that, I always do it. Well, you know what, I'm responsible for the town's overall budget, and I'm gonna tell you what you can spend. So.
That's it. Here, keep on
So
going.
that's why we're going to change how things are going. I'm telling them what they can spend, and then they're gonna tell me what they wanna buy, and then we're gonna order it off of Amazon or
Okay.
wherever to save money. And that way, it doesn't come down to where we spent a fortune for Old Time Christmas where 20 kids went. I mean, I know.
Well,
it's
this
really
was a
cold,
very exceptional year.
Yes,
It was
but
bitter
we
cold.
need to know in
The babies
advance.
didn't
We
show up.
need to stop having them tell us, this is how much I spent, here's my receipt, give me a check. No, we need to know in advance what you're gonna be buying so that we can anticipate it, because that's how we end up going way over our budget. And again, I mean, as evidenced by wanting to increase their pay, I appreciate everything that they do, but we are not a business, well, we operate as a business. We're government, this is not our money, this is taxpayer money, and we're responsible for it.
So I would make the following suggestion, like for the farmer's market, social media specialist, I would just say social media. So that way, if they want to buy Facebook ads or something that maybe it's not necessarily designated to paying a person.
That's
I mean,
all it
if
was used
they
for though, right?
Choose it to do, I mean, like what the hell, if somebody's, I don't know, $400 seems like a lot to do a Facebook post to me.
And who gets that $400? You see,
Is it Jen?
A person.
Jennifer that does that?
person, individual, on the BEC is getting that.
No,
Actually,
no,
this
this
is
is
their
a
one
public
with
market.
the farmer's market. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, so you
So
just
take
want-
out the word specialist?
I don't know, just, you know what I
That's
mean,
fine.
like,
That doesn't, that's fine.
if they wanna spend it on paying that person, but then don't come back and say, well, we also ran Facebook
that's
ads
fine.
and paying more money or a newspaper ad is what I'm.
Do they normally do
hinting at.
Facebook ads?
They don't actually run ads,
No.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know, so.
So go down to
I
the
mean, I don't
bottom
know,
number
just,
here, Rachel. What's the bottom number here? What you got?
17,295 is what it was.
That includes if they would manage to get grant funding to finish for the glass crushing machine. Barb
Yeah,
has
there's
put in that application a
$7,000
$7,000 match, so
Okay.
that includes that. Now, I will reiterate that they submitted that application without consulting us first, and they put that $7,000 match in there without consulting us first. So we are not really held to that.
Honestly, don't, I feel like they brought that to us.
They did not tell us
I
that they
never
were
heard
gonna
of
put in a $7,000
Yeah, I
match.
never heard that.
And I know that Nora Roberts,
Me, was because I was at the meeting for the environment.
I know Nora Roberts' grant applications are different from the grant applications I'm used to, but they should not be submitting anything on the town's behalf. Either Howard or I should be signing.
Barb Wetzel took that on upon herself.
What's the monthly compost?
That's something that I think Megan.
So that's the bin department.
No, that's the Cassandra.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's the bin down there.
That's the
bin
compost
that
bin at
comes-
the park.
Yeah.
That's been on.
Been taken, that people were putting their composting in and
Yes.
it's getting empty.
Yes.
The compost bin at the park.
I had no idea we were paying $220 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come
They
pick it up, take it there, let it rot in Frederick, and then we go pick it up and bring it back here or something. That's really what happens. We can't let it rot and move.
So out of this budget, they're not generating any money now at all? This is all on us?
They bring in, if I can switch back to the other,
Yeah,
they bring in
revenues are
vendor
somewhere
fees
else.
from farmer's market.
Okay.
Around 2,000.
You're kidding.
Yeah, the farmer, market is costing a lot, but I guess it does bring people into town.
It does. I mean, I know they run a good organization. I know there's a big crowd down there, but Jesus. They only
And
bring in
it's-
$2,000.
Yeah. And there's
Even
no
if
way
you
to
take
say
out
whether
the
the
$7,000, that's still $8,000, $9,000 that we're paying for this to run. I just think that they need to.
It's really not higher than it has been. I mean,
What was last year's?
last year was 12,009, so
But last year they did
13,000.
have a 7,000.
The 7,000, so, right,
Yeah.
so it's still.
They did have
actually
money for
$2
special
less than
projects,
last
but it wasn't designated per se. And they haven't spent that much, you know.
Well, the farmer's market is just
Just
getting
getting started,
going.
yeah.
Like,
So their bills are coming.
I just called about the fire police today, like those things are just getting started, so.
fire police for what?
Farmer's market,
No,
the Green Fest.
Or swapping or like whatever you want to call it.
Well, my only two comments on this whole page, we're gonna be here till 3 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
The Clean Earth Challenge, $500.
Yep.
Someone said that they had somebody that was going to donate gloves.
Marie Oyster said that she had a bunch of
She was
gloves
the
at
one.
Fulton Bank.
Right. Okay, and then comment number 2, the $7,000 for the glass crusher. I told Barb we had 7,000 in the budget for that. The other night when we were here,
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
green, whatever the heck, the Kathy Vesta runs.
Yeah.
Sustainable Maryland, I think is where you.
So do you want me to tell them to check with Marie Oyster, because she is donating gloves?
Why don't
She
you
already
do
said
the $300 to the glove budget instead of
Marie
500?
Oyster
That's
already
minor,
said that
but-
they had a ton
Yes,
left
I can
over,
make
because
it
she's
wrong.
been cleaning up at the bank in anticipation of it closing, and she already
If they
said
need
she
to
had a
buy
ton
more,
she's
then they
doing.
can.
I don't think
So
we're
they
gonna
should check
spend
how many she has.
$7,000 on the
Okay.
glass crusher this cycle. 'cause
I don't
think we're
either,
gonna-
but
they-
we promised
They
to
gotta come up
put it
with
in
a
there, so
$8,000.
they're there.
No, I don't think they're gonna get the money, but
And also remember, this is gloves for next year, because this year we didn't have any budget line items, so it's in their special project.
But she wants it to be an annual. So what do you wanna do for
Isn't
the
that
cleaner?
for this year though, Mary Lee?
You beg your
I
pardon?
thought this Clean Earth thing was this April we're talking.
It is,
That's
but that's
in
in the
FY
current budget,
25.
which they'll have to take out of their special projects line.
Okay.
Since she's breaking it out for future, I'm gonna say put 300 instead of 500, we can always change
Okay.
it.
not that it's gonna make a whole
Not
lot
that
of
it's gonna
difference.
make a whole lot of difference,
It'll make it $17,000.
you know.
I would boondogge the whole thing, but that's just me.
And I would like to
I hate
see
to
them,
say it.
maybe the farmer's market get a little more, but it does bring people into town and they enjoy it, so we'll go with it. Okay.
When's the last time they raised their fee for the vendors?
I don't think ever.
No, I don't, you don't think they have? I thought they like kind of became a little dicey there at one point.
Because just take them off, they've got quite a few vendors there.
Raise your hand if you listen to the music there. That's something that they just cut the music.
Oh, the one man
I
band?
know, me either.
The
Try
one
not
man band
to.
at the end,
Yeah.
nobody can hear him anyway?
Anyway.
Oh, and they bought the thermometer for the asphalt, so they can tell you when it's too hot for the dogs to walk on it.
Yes.
No shit.
This is a
You think
public
I'm kidding?
meeting.
They
right?
almost
Being
got in a fight
recorded.
over
I
that.
know.
And that's just, people just being silly.
What did they get in the fight?
Someone.
Telling someone not to put their dog on a hot
Yeah, I said the
blacktop.
asphalt's too hot, don't put your dog in there. And I was like, don't worry about my fucking dog.
Hey,
I,
Oh,
public
you're right.
meeting.
you're not out to know.
You're too far away, didn't pick it up.
Alright, so the BEC is the only group that I haven't gone over their budget with them yet, because I hadn't been to, like, their meeting is this Wednesday, and I won't be here, so anything else you want Terry to talk about?
No, can you send me that then, and I'll go over it with them tomorrow? Or Wednesday?
Until then, they need to cut it by 50%.
But we're sending in there a leak.
We cut the Clean Earth Challenge down to 300 because, and Marie Oyster has some for this year.
And make sure you tell them to let the town buy them, so we don't pay tax on them, then we can order them,
Yeah.
if she has.
Well, I'm gonna tell them they can't buy anything anymore.
No, that's exactly right. It has to
Right.
come through her.
Can't
Comes
buy.
through Rachel, forget about it.
I apologize if I got a little feisty about that.
No.
You don't have to apologize.
No, you don't.
Okay, well, if you're good with moving on then.
Yep.
So back to the main sheet. I just put in, what'd you say?
That's the sheet we have.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't sent you the commissions.
That's all right.
We did at least go over them in the
We
budget
did,
meetings,
but yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, miscellaneous income includes $25,000 in, sewer fund loan repayment, which, just while we're on that, we had talked about that previously, that, Marilee wanted to know if we actually had to pay a certain amount back each year, or if we just needed to be showing progress. I didn't even ask Jason because Brian said, I can already tell you, he's going to say, even if you pay $2, he will be happy some progress is being made. So I just whittled it down to 25K.
I did call Jason today
What'd he say?
specifically on this because we talked about it.
Was Brian right?
I'm sorry?
Was Brian right? Does he just want something moved?
No.
forward?
I just talked to him about if we just do away with this debt. Because you had the
Because we had,
question,
Tony and I.
you had the question
Yes,
that
we had
would
this
would it
discussion
be detrimental
last
if we
meeting,
were, and he said it would be better for the town if we just get rid of it. So he is still in favor of writing it off and just starting with a clean slate. We've got to get past that as a council, if y'all want to do that or not. I don't think we
Put
should.
it on the workshop agenda.
That's fine, but I don't think we should include it as a revenue, because we've got a $300,000 piece of equipment we need to buy.
I understand, but if you're putting it in the sewer fund as an expense, then the
It's gotta come
offsetting
back
revenue should be recognized somewhere.
That was my next question, is in the sewer fund, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how I caught
So,
it.
but
I
he said
saw
that
the
it wouldn't have
expense.
any
Can you give this to
adverse
Drew?
effect on anything we do, and we've never used it as a
I'm gonna
benefit.
give it
In
to him
fact,
tonight.
it'd be worse if they knew we had a $1.8 million debt. If we
Okay.
were looking for money.
Okay.
So,
And I agree with that.
yes.
They might just
But
need a letter,
We're
I
not
think, 'cause I've
self-sustaining
seen
yet, so we still have to figure out how to show the subsidy.
Well, and I was just worried, like, if we have to do something with the lagoon, how we show we need funds.
Right.
Because we're already debt burdened because we had to do this mandate of doing the sewer plant versus the lagoon project, and we did it very early on.
Right.
So are you on
Figure
board with, like, you and Tony having this conversation? We're gonna
Yes,
talk about it at
yes,
the
we're
workshop.
gonna talk
You're
about
on
it at the
board with
workshop, yes.
Okay.
It's gonna have to involve some liquid encouragement, but we'll get there.
Okay, Diet Coke, right?
That's all she drinks.
So that line could possibly be changing then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that means it would go to 12,000, which is just kind of.
Okay, the average.
Right.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
All
Just wanna
right,
Put that out there.
mayor and council salary stayed the same. The MML dues had gone up a crazy amount this fiscal year, but we didn't find out till the last minute. So I reached out to the contact that Kim gave me and asked, can we anticipate a jump like that again? And I never got a response. So
And
I
that was something I flagged. and
I
we
just
increased that
anticipated
number.
a jump. So this year, it ended up being 5150, so I made it 5200, I guess.
Which is not a jump.
Not a jump. Maybe, you know what, when I first did this, I took it from 4200 to 5200.
Right, because that's what was budget, but.
Still not much of a jump, so.
The other thing I was a little concerned about was your convention and WCML expenses as we ended up spending more. And we're already at $7,033.88
I think that.
based on the
I
February
talked to
statement.
Brian about this one day, I think Kim was out. I think that between the education and conference stipend and the convention and WCML expenses, I think that something in there was not coded right.
Right, but we
Did it get?
got it to where it was
Okay,
supposed to
so maybe but this was as of March 7th, so I don't know what the $34 was.
Who's going this year?
I'm going to MML.
Three of us.
Are you going?
Good girl. I'm miserable, I'm gonna blame it on you.
No, you're not there all day.
I like MML better than Mako.
I do too.
Okay, I guess I need to look at this again. I I don't know.
I feel like if you can find a little bit of money, you might need to up it a little bit. Which I can find you some money, because I'm not in favor of the admin assistant.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
hold on,
sell that
let
one
me
to me.
note to, let me just highlight them. Contributions and donations, I just kept it $1,000, that seems like it's been pretty safe. The ambulance and fire department, it was in here, I assume you guys have voted to increase that 1.12% each year, so this is.
We didn't vote that, we
Anything
just,
from in and out.
we had put an increase in last
Okay.
year because they hadn't gotten one in for a while. And technically, if you read a policy we have somewhere, they're supposed to come in and ask for it
Yeah.
and
they're
present
supposed
us with some financials,
I wanna
although
see
they
it.
never really do.
So then don't
Well,
wow me, you just gave reason why we shouldn't.
Well, I see, you
well, I think we probably have to remind them to do such,
Yeah,
which
we
I
should.
get, babysitting is a problem, but it
Yeah.
was also a policy based so that we didn't get in trouble for not giving someone else if they didn't come in and do it. But if you ask them, Mary Jane will.
Or you can't even give them the tractor water.
What?
You can't even give them track the water that they use out of the hydrant. How are you gonna get them to give you a letter?
Well,
or
that's
ask
how,
for
when
it?
it hits you in the pocket, you start earning.
You wanna keep it.
Well, I think that might be bad.
Keep it
to have
the same
it
as
like
last
that.
year.
But I'm in favor of keeping it the same, because we did up it last year,
Okay.
from
so we're gonna
25 to
keep the
28.
So you wanna keep it
You
28
can keep
this
it
year?
at 28, are you
Yeah,
good with that?
that's
I mean,
fine.
that gives us a little wiggle room that we've already used.
Unless they walked in here and asked.
Which they might, since.
Well, they're applying for a grant, I wrote them a letter, the town wrote them a letter, so.
I wrote him a letter too.
Well,
Right,
actually, my husband wrote the letter.
Well, I mean, say what you will about Mary Jane, but when I reached out for letters of support for our appropriations request, she was the first one to get it back to me, and I think it was either that day or the next day.
I wasn't that
Wow,
fast for
that was-
Say what you will.
Oh, no, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying.
These, salaries are, well, the manager, the clerk, planner, and office manager are all split 50 general fund, 30 water, as they have been. And the dollars here are anticipating a 3% COLA, and I went ahead and anticipated everybody would get a 3% increase at their annual. Not everybody will, but just to be safe, I went ahead and included that. And then the administrative assistant that I have in here, so I had brought this to the personnel committee, which ended up only being 2/3 of the personnel committee. That I've been talking to Drew because first of all, keep in mind that he is the town planner and the zoning administrator, which is basically 1.5 jobs. And I lean on Drew a lot, not only because I'm constantly drowning, but because of his experience and his skill set, he is able to help with things that I'm really not an expert on. So for instance, the safe routes to school thing that Paul got us into, doing the RFP to actually have the design for the sidewalks. I don't know these technicalities. Like, that is crap that I needed Drew to help with. So Drew started working on it. It just lags and lags and lagged, and finally we turned it over to an engineer. Drew could have done it if he had the time to do it. It just was that it was taking too long because he had other things that were more important, and it's something that an outsider like an engineering company can do. So I'm just giving that as an example. He helps me with things. So in order to help us both, basically, is why I put in for an administrative assistant. Now, this would not be Drew's assistant. This would be an assistant for the whole town hall, because there are other things that need done. Like, Brian found a way that we can scan invoices and attach them in Peachtree. And he's been doing it as he has time, but I mean, most of them are not in there. It is amazing being able to see them. And I couldn't believe when I came here that we didn't have that. I was like, you mean that if I want to see an invoice from a year ago, I have to go dig through Kim's filing cabinet to find it? Like, that's crazy. Well, Brian found a way that we could attach them, and just for the ones that he's been able to do, it's fantastic. But it's time consuming, and it's another thing, just adding more and more to people's plates.
Well, as the town's growing, and, the 2/3 that was there, I was 1/3. that was there, and, you know, I think that Rachel's justification was very spot on, especially as the town is growing, and, this is when Drew can go out and get his job done, and it's something that can be used for multiple tasks.
And what is the annual salary then? This is how much of it, 1/3 or 2/3?
No, this is half, so it ends up being 39, 3 something. And then,
So does that include benefits? Does that?
no, that is just the base salary. So, one more thing before you go, and I already told Marilee because she had looked over the budget and we sat down and talked about it and everything, and I already told her, I am not gonna fight over this, or fight for it, is how I said it. It just, I see the merit in it, and the same thing for the groundskeeper position. I feel there's justification. The personnel committee agreed with me, but everything that Marilee is saying about how everybody's assessments went up and their taxes because of that are going up, and we're continuing to increase water and sewer, we're increasing sanitation. If you guys don't feel that we can justify an administrative assistant, I am not gonna be upset about it.
So have you asked if anybody be willing to want some overtime hours to get some of this done, that they would like more money to here in house?
No, I haven't. And the other, I'm sorry, I got off track. The other thing I wanted to say, it occurred to me over the weekend that if you didn't want to commit to this long-term, we could always try advertising it as a contractual position. We could do it for a year, see how it goes. Because one of the things that needs to be accomplished is, if you've ever walked upstairs and seen the hot mess that is the planning and zoning area, it needs to be filed and cleaned up. And there's other stuff that needs to be like scanned in, things that if we didn't have bad prior experience with high school students getting SSL hours, I would just try to get a high schooler, but that has not worked well in the past. So there's stuff that maybe if it was a year contract, we could get cleaned up and be in a better position, and maybe these projects will be more underway. We could also look at doing it as a part-time. Like, I'm open to options, but again, if it really bothers you that much, there will be no hard feelings.
I like the idea when we talked about this in your office, there was also talking about, one, we're gonna burn out Drew, we're gonna burn out Rachel. There's a lot going on, and also we wanna start, not, I hate using the word grooming, but, looking at longevity and moving people into other positions. We need I'd like to get some dedicated staff here. So I would be in favor of bringing somebody in and interviewing as such to someone that's a potential group, to fill in as people get promoted.
Well, an admin assistant isn't a position hire that has growth. Just saying, when you advertise it that way, that's what
But it could start out that way, and then you could,
I'm
if they
just gonna
came
say,
out.
Working under the wing of the town planner, I made it very clear he's only gonna be here until he hits social security age. That person could be groomed. I mean.
Or
Well, they
somebody else
could
in
be-
the office.
I'm just saying, that's a different job description you're hiring than an admin.
And we're not doing it, that's not the official, but this is something you look, I'm looking at it from the terms of the.
I mean, you guys have weighed your argument, we're not making a decision tonight, let's roll it this late, if everybody wants to go.
Well,
I think you might have workers' comp understated again, I'm
Let
sorry.
me comment on that for a few moments if I can. I think we've already said it. I had some notes about this additional position. If somebody would come to me in my former position and ask about this, the first question would have been, has the personnel committee approved this? The second question would have been, how are you gonna cover this in your budget? Now, it's a game, the way we're covering it, because the property assessments went up and all that.
Right. So
But,
she's answered those questions.
Yeah, and I mean, I trust Rachel's judgment, but I had written down here succession planning. I think that's what we've already talked about, which is key. So, I don't have any reason to shoot it down if not.
Well, I just also don't wanna I just wanna make sure that you also have dedicated staff now, you don't wanna hire someone new to a succession plan without giving that opportunity to others. who
I had
may
that
be-
written down here too, as any of the current staff think about applying.
I don't want our dedicated staff.
But they're not gonna apply for a job that's making less than what they're currently paying, so.
But anyway, that's just a couple of thoughts I had. I don't have any reason to shoot.
Well, I can help here because I'm gonna go right to professional services, because Tony and I were having a discussion today about the accounting service.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Didn't you say something else was under?
You said workers'
I think workers' comp,
Okay.
you're just gonna have to look at those.
Alright,
But, I mean, we're already at $847.
Okay, I marked it so I'll have it later.
So, yeah.
Advertising, I actually took down because I think we need to get away from putting this much stuff in the paper. If it's not required,
Yeah, I agree.
then, because I don't think anybody looks at the paper.
I agree. And we might, and if we can change it so that we don't have to do it in the paper, I'm good with it.
Where were you looking at?
I was down now to professional services was my next place that I had a question.
I think you wanna look at employee appreciation first. So
I was fine that you, I was
Did you
fine with
read
that
the note?
increase. I didn't.
Okay, I just didn't want anybody to think that I was like sneaking anything in. The Christmas bonuses with.
I looked at everything.
Okay, alright,
I
what
mean,
was the one
honestly,
you had an issue with?
I didn't have an issue with that going up. I thought that was justified.
Okay.
Wasn't that big of an increase.
What's your comment on audit services, Rachel, if we're there yet?
Okay, so our contract is 21,500, and then I'm guesstimating, which I think is a high number, but I'm guesstimating 15,000 for the single audit. I think Jason told us it'd be like 12 to 15,
Yeah.
so I just went with 15.
They're the high, yeah.
And then that gets split across the funds, but Marilee had made the point sometime recently, I don't know what meeting it was, that we could potentially, like, that doesn't have to be split across the three funds the way that it is. Like, it could be less water and sewer and more general fund.
Right.
Well, so that 15K for the single audit.
Yeah.
The email you sent the other day, that was with respect to FY25.
No, that was for the FY '24, so they, once our regular audit was done, and then they had to look at like all the ARPA money and everything, they determined for FY '24. We don't, so the audit that just ended in the fall. FY '25, which is what we're in now, we are going to, I would almost bet money on it, we're going to need a single audit.
And that's why it's in the budget.
Yeah, but this is 26.
Well,
Right, but that's what we're paying for it because
Right.
the year ends on June 30th and we're paying the audit fee
Prior year.
after, for the prior year.
Oh, I hate to look at that lobbyist number.
I know, and I'd be happy taking that out too. I'm sorry.
Where's our reports?
Exactly. I don't like not getting at least a quarterly report, if not a monthly report, like how many phone calls, meetings and things. I understand we got some money at one point, but I just don't know that that well is continuing to be out there. And if this is, I mean, I would rather pay someone in here in the office to be doing that.
Well, Paul Fry and them wants to come down and talk to us about joining the coalition again.
Yeah, I mean.
I called Roger and I point blank asked him, I said, what's going on? Oh, lots. He used to call me almost every other day and I
I
bet
mean,
you
I
haven't
just think
heard
this
from
has
him in
become
3
very
months.
lucrative for him and we're just small potatoes.
When do we renew his contract?
July.
I was gonna say, it's coming
Okay.
up.
Yeah,
But we haven't yet.
no.
That's
Okay.
what the annual budget.
Okay.
Can you highlight that one maybe?
I have to look at it.
Well,
No, Paul and Kirchner
I mean,
wants
plus
to
we
come
have
down
a
on a
very good
workshop.
delegation who works hard for us. I mean, Roger did get us a lot of funding,
He
but
did.
I'm gonna tell you, Paul Quarterman, Will Valentine, Bill Weibel were also,
Instrumental, I know.
helping to get that too. It wasn't,
was that your only issue with professional services?
Well, no, the accounting services, we've already spent $9,400, so 10 is not enough. And are we actually getting our money's worth? I mean, I call Tony every month with financials, with questions and catches, and that's my quick eyeball of them. So I, for the life of me, don't understand how if an accounting firm is truly looking at our financials monthly, or at least quarterly, like how they're not catching them first.
Have you talked to Brian about this?
No, we just were bringing it up again tonight when I caught a very large mistake. You know what I mean? It just, to me, if I'm catching these, in a quick look while I'm working at my other job, you know what I mean? I just feel like, and I don't know the answer, but I think it's a fair question to ask between now and our
Maybe
next
we
budget
should pay
workshop.
Mayor Lee $5,000.
I don't want to get, I just told Tony, I mean, I just want to make sure we're getting our money's worth, and if we're not getting our money's worth, then don't spend it.
Can you guys maybe talk to Brian about
Well,
this?
we talked about,
I mean, he's the
coming
one
in,
that deals with the
yeah.
accounting.
Yeah, and I know, you
because the
know,
water fund has a real big boo-boo on the balance
Yeah.
sheet. and-
I mean, and I caught it for people last month,
Right.
and, you know.
And Brian had to redo some of the income statements because of the problem. I
Does
think-
this accounting firm come in here?
That's
and
what I
look
don't,
at
I
the
don't
books, or
know.
do they
I don't know.
have access on?
I don't know if they're doing reviews to catch, and I don't know. I don't, that's why I'm asking. I don't know. Is it worth a monthly fee, a quarterly fee? Can we just pay them
They
one?
don't-
Bring them on because Brian didn't have an accounting degree.
We brought people in
That
to
was-
help with
yeah.
issues,
Correct.
and you have to have a line between what you ask your auditor,
Gotcha.
being able to be independent, and then helping with issues, if that
Right,
makes
right.
sense. So you have to, you know what I mean, you can't ask Jason everything,
Yeah.
because it becomes the
Yeah.
next fine line to.
So I don't really know what what his communication with her is from the end of audit time until the beginning of
Yeah.
audit time. So like this period right now
Yeah.
that we're in, I don't know what kind of communication he has with her at all during this time.
And I
But
don't
if they're
know,
doing monthly reviews, quarterly reviews.
I
they're
mean,
not
I don't know
catching-
if they're doing the depreciation schedules, and I don't know if this number is like, if that's like one thing, because they did do all the depreciation entries and our year-end entries that we needed done and help clean things up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean, and it's a one-time a year, or is this a monthly fee, and we're not calling them?
Can you
every
ask
month that we
Brian
need?
that? Do you have time to
So-
ask him that? Stop in?
Well,
I think Tony was gonna.
yeah, I'm gonna ask him about the ones we found on the balance sheet, but then I said maybe Mary Lee and I can just come in one day.
Uh-huh. Well, I just, again, I feel like their contract's gonna be up, it's time to assess whether that service is
Worth the money.
worth our money, or do we need
Well,
to just
I mean,
pay?
you raise a great
for
point.
once a
Is
year?
this back to a workload issue with Brian?
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know. Well, no, I don't know, I mean, I don't know that Brian can do depreciation schedules, they're pretty complicated. I don't know, Jason might still be doing those.
So.
Yeah, that's what I wait for my husband.
Yeah, Jason does the depreciation schedule. He sends
Yeah, I
it
think
to,
that's allowed.
and then
to
he
be
sends
done.
it to us and we review it and see what's still on there,
On
what's
and
not.
off, okay. So, yeah, so I don't know if they're helping with pay, again, I would like to
You have
know
Roger, right?
what they're doing.
Okay.
And then the same, are we getting our money out of the circuit rider, cause that went up too.
That's probably not going to be next year because, Catherine, just long story short, is most likely not gonna be doing that next year.
Okay.
She did say that she would submit a proposal for her continuing to do the stuff she does with, her private company. She hadn't sent that to me yet, and it would have to be dirt cheap for me to recommend it.
And
because-
if you had an admin assistant, would you be able to handle more of the grant writing opportunities, cause I know you had that.
No, she does it all.
She does it already.
Okay, then I vote to strike that right out.
Well, not only that, how many grant opportunities, given the budget climate, are even gonna be available?
Exactly.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah. So,
And we get
Well, and
emails.
I think I heard Rachel say we can't be dependent on all these grants.
Well, and we paid Amy to do it too, so.
Right, exactly. She doesn't just have to do, police department.
Correct.
Plus, we get emails from the state, what money's gonna be
Right,
available. and
well,
or
and
when
if we find one we really need help with, can't we just pay someone to help us
Rachel
for that
says they did it.
particular
Right.
grant?
You could, I mean, I'm not perfect, but
I
It's
trust
not
you're
anything
probably
worse.
as good as
I think
Catherine.
I can handle
Considering
it.
Catherine,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm not
probably
saying
should
anything
be better.
against Catherine.
No,
I
I'm not
didn't
either,
think
I'm
that, I
just
mean,
saying,
It's
to
just
me,
by the
if I'm
time I
gonna
sent her all the
justify
information.
another position, then I wanna,
Yeah,
take
It's
it
not,
from
and it's
somewhere.
not just us, it's Williamsport
Yeah.
and Smithburg too's having problems
just-
with her.
I questioned the
Your
reason
phone's
for it
going off.
to begin with, but,
Light was flashing.
okay, so moving on to planning and zoning, everything is, pretty standard, I don't think there's anything really surprising there. EDC meetings, So that's the amount that ends up being for their breakfasts and their other networking events. I mean, it's all, I'm trying to see if there's anything that I really need to explain, but I think it's pretty, oh, the EDC liaison, I had talked to, huh? Did I talk to the personnel committee about that? Is that what I talked about? Yes, that, the EDC kind of treats, like
He's a whipping boy. That's what he is.
we are so.
Well, they have.
I don't, it doesn't matter.
I think that he,
Gets abused.
He has a workload that should be done by Rachel and I.
and this is not just for, budgeting purposes, it's also like, you know, how you guys say that we play with the numbers. This is to show them, because they kind of treat it like they're paying them. Well, they're not paying, the town's paying them.
Exactly.
So I just took it out of there completely and moved it into his regular salary so that they can't keep saying, we're paying him.
Well, part of that was supposed to get you to the town alliance group too.
Yeah.
Well,
They were to handle and do.
And I think it
with their
is
own
because the BTA is taking over the food truck festival and Spring Jubilee, so that, just the food truck festival alone is like a huge burden off his shoulders, so it kind of is, in answer to your question.
I see you have in the budget for them to go to Main Street,
Yeah.
MML. You mean they're gonna do it? for
No.
a change?
No. I don't think so.
Which one are you?
Under EDC,
Line
Uh,
two
Main Street
sixteen.
Maryland program?
yes.
Oh,
They're missing the boat by not going down there.
oh, they are?
They are.
Okay.
George and Vicky did it 1 year, or no, they did it a couple years, didn't they? George and,
Oh, yeah, they did it for a long time.
and,
So we should put in for them to do that?
well, no, they won't do it because the town won't pay their way.
Oh,
Nobody paid George and Vicky. Only thing the town paid and EDC paid for George and Vicky was their registration
is
to the
that what the
convention.
1800 was then?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they put up all this, because Carol and I helped them set up and tear down the booth and everything, and we relieved them and worked with them. And we got a lot of people come in, especially when we had that cardboard dummy of Nora Roberts. Everybody wanted to have their picture taken with Nora.
Remember that?
The other day, to point back to visitors to the town.
Yes,
Rachel, when you go
yes,
to it, you'll
it
still
did,
see,
it
they should
did.
be doing it.
It
I mean,
did.
they have nice
Yeah,
booths.
Mary Lee,
I
I
love
know
the Main
for a fact
Street
a lot
area
of,
in
because
MML.
our MML president actually stayed over here and called us, and Carol and I had dinner with him. And there was other people that I know too, Tom Reynolds, that's on MML, works for MML, him and his wife came up a weekend.
Well,
People-
the fellow that does the museum, he might be interested in doing something like that.
Ruben?
Ruben, thank you.
Ray, you're their liaison. Do you think that if I put in $2,000 for their registration and just make it available to them if they would want to go, they still have to pay their own way, but, you know, we think that,
Is that a one-day convention, Howard? or-
No, it's,
Yeah, I think.
they set up Sunday and they tear down
Wednesday?
Tuesday.
So this would be for convention coming, not, next year.
It won't be
June of
this year, because it's
2026.
too late.
Wouldn't be for
They're
this
already-
year.
Main
Because
Street's
next
already
year's
filled up.
budget would give them time to plan and recruit someone.
Yeah.
I'm okay with putting some money in the budget.
But is that gonna
for
cover
such.
their hotel and all? I mean, what
Well,
all we
I think
got?
that's what
not.
That's what I'm
That's what they
saying.
want. They want everything paid for.
well,
But if they're doing it for the town, I mean,
Again,
kind of,
Not
We're-
everything.
not
We have a
everything,
budget we have to stick to.
well, and we put that budget together recently, we just.
I know,
to
just-
cover our,
exactly.
exactly, I'm just saying.
For the town, I paid for, I didn't get anything.
I pay my own room and stuff. when I
I do
was-
too.
So I
You know,
pay
the
my
city, I paid
registration
for my own room and-
because I was able to, and I didn't want to burden this. I had to be able to go, like.
Yeah, I understand.
Again, how about you put a little money in to cover the
That's
fee
fine.
there?
That's
If
fine.
we get someone that wants to do it, then we'll see what we can find throughout the
And
year.
the $1,000 that we put in for us to go doesn't cover all of our expenses either. It's just-
Exactly,
yeah, it's just-
exactly.
it's just
We're doing
nice
it
that-
because we
Exactly,
are giving to the town and trying to
exactly,
learn and do better.
so,
And
okay.
MML is really I don't want to say it nicely, changed things. Used to be, you register, your spouse got to go to the convention too, under your same registration. They just didn't get to eat, which the food's not that good anyhow.
Yeah.
But anyhow, now, if you want to take a guest, you have to pay $250.
And they get to eat.
And they get to eat. That's the
Wow.
only
Take
difference.
Susan up when you date.
That's like an anniversary.
That's an excursion on steroids.
Okay, so the
And they didn't
DEC
tell anybody, either Kim
That's a
told
silent
me.
hog right there.
We already talked about the DEC's budget. We already talked about the police department budget, highways and streets, same thing with the salary. I just assume everybody's gonna get a COLA and 3%. They won't all get it, but just to be
How
safe.
y'all decide on 3% for COLA? Was that a personnel committee discussion?
Oh, you know what? No, that wasn't. That was based off, I had Kim pull up the number.
We haven't seen that report for this year yet.
So should I bring that to the workshop then?
Yeah. That's supposed to be calculated every January, right? Isn't that what we decided, Kim?
It's actually like 6 point something percent this
Okay,
year's COLA.
I'm saying it's supposed to be, you're supposed to get the research every January and make a decision on it before
She
we.
pulled it up and showed me.
Okay.
I neglected to bring it to you guys.
Okay,
Um,
bring it to the workshop.
Okay, well, the part-time park person, again, 9 months and 32 hours a year, that was where I got a little lost.
We're in public works.
So 32 hours a week, 9 months a year is what it was last year, but that was for $15 an hour, which I thought was not.
Well, I
very
just,
much.
again, I just feel like that's a whole lot. I mean, anybody who's gonna work 9 months of the year for that, they're gonna wanna work full-time, they're gonna be doing benefits, and you're gonna need a vehicle. And, I mean, I'm okay with somebody maybe helping with maintenance and mowing in the summer months, but for 9 whole months.
What exactly does that pertain to?
Well, for one thing, it's, so every night, the public works guys have to go close the bathrooms.
But
and
see, that's
whatnot,
something
so-
we had the police do.
The police were doing.
And you
And I
guys
think
have
we
brought
need to
that
get
up
back
in
to
multiple
that.
meetings just since I've been here, and that
Yeah.
has not really been, that was, as I understand it, that was more of a Kevin thing that he just said.
Well,
he
yeah,
did.
but we've got
Everything.
police officers working those shifts, and they're in a cruiser, what would it hurt them to go by, look in the bathroom and make sure nobody damaged it and lock the door?
That's up to you.
We're
Well, I
talking
feel like
four-
that-
We're talking 4 restrooms, right?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4.
But that's one thing, and then they also help with stuff like, there's always, the park board always gives a list of things that need to be done in the park, like if something needs, a gutter needs fixed, or something needs painted, little odds and ends jobs that the groundskeeper could take care of, and then that would allow Greg and his guys to do the regular.
We used to have one long time ago. What was his name? Merrick?
Mr. Jones, well, didn't the Jones fellow do it for a while, that lived there by the church? Is that the lady?
Yeah. He mowed and weed whacked and took care of everything.
I mean, the same as I said for the administrative assistant, I think there's value in it, but they have gone, I mean, it was budgeted for this year and it's March 10th and they don't.
Well, I
have
was
it yet.
thinking,
They-
you know, if you were doing it like the summer months, maybe a teacher who, you know, is off for the summer and wants a little part-time income might be a good fit.
How many teachers do you know that want to work over the summer?
Well,
You said it was budgeted for this year?
Yeah, it was
And
in
then
there, and
why-
I had heartburn
why
still,
was
but
it
we
not
didn't
filled?
hire anybody. But I honestly thought it was only a few hours a week mowing. I had no idea it was for 9 months and
Well, if we
32 hours a
budgeted
week.
though, and he hasn't filled it yet, I'm kind of concerned about putting it in again.
I just
I'm
feel,
not
I
gonna
I
like
am definitely against 9 months and 32 hours a week. I'm sorry, I'm just
But
like.
see, that's, the reason why I asked that is because last year was supposed to be for watering plants.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that debacle.
That's why I asked.
You mean like the trees? that-
They were
No,
gonna
the
put
hanging baskets, they wanted to put on light poles and we knew would be dead in 10 days.
We have really
Every
nothing
day.
to water.
They were gonna put new, plants and
I mean, we
stuff down
can't
around the
keep
park
our
entrance.
have a,
and that we're all gonna need water on a daily basis, the kind that EDC won.
I have,
So they wanted to hire, they wanted to hire a part-time.
That doesn't mean for beautification.
I would highlight it and ask Greg if he plans on filling that position.
Well, again,
I mean-
I have heartburn over 9 months and 3.
Well, just
terms.
address
No, we
it.
don't
have to do 9
That's fine, but
20 hours
Terry's
a week
concerned,
and for 3 or 4
I mean,
months.
at the start of the fiscal year, when it was budgeted, if you guys had a new police chief, you were bringing me on, maybe Greg just didn't feel like pushing the issue when you were already, bringing new people on, but.
I have an issue too. It's 10:30, we still have a closed session, we haven't even gotten through the general fund, so. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not gonna stay with y'all, but I'm just.
Well, do we want to plan a budget
Well, you're
workshop for
retired.
another night? Or do we want to?
I know, and she's been here all flipping day,
Early for the.
and she's not. She's
Hey,
gonna,
now,
I'm not,
hey.
you're asking a stupid question, I'm saying she's been here all day. I know I'm retired, I don't mind being here, but I don't think it's fair to Kim and Rachel to be here all night.
You're all off on me
Do
now.
we want to, do we want to start our workshop?
I wasn't
early
being,
to
Yes,
get
you
I
will.
know I am retired, Ricky, that's not.
Yeah, but you don't do that shit, so don't
What's
do
your
it to
call?
me.
Rachel, what would you like to do?
I mean, we can wait till the workshop, that's fine.
When is our workshop?
The end of the week, the end of the
It's
month.
3 weeks, because it's the 31st.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to having a separate meeting to do
Yeah.
something if we need to.
That's what
I mean, it's just gonna take forever,
Anyway.
I agree,
you know, it's a lot.
I agree.
Want to meet at 6 or 6:30?
6, we do it?
On the 31st? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay,
Devote the first hour just to vote if necessary.
6 PM on the 31st, got it. Workshop.
Oh, no kidding. Well, it's better than staying until 1
Yeah, but
tonight.
I have a meeting out there too.
Okay, I guess, okay, you want to proceed with the commission
Yeah.
workshop?
Park board, Ricky?
I didn't do it.
Oh, Marilee.
Why don't we skip the commission reports? Everybody can submit theirs in an email to it. so that
I mean,
we can-
I
didn't have one.
I don't think that you need to have a full report, but you need to at least briefly touch on them since they're on the agenda.
Okay,
You guys
the
worked
biggest
out-
thing with the park board is the budget discussion and the fishing derby, and I'm gonna be handling the fishing derby for them this year.
And we
I'll
went
help
over
you.
their budget and they
Yeah.
raised some concerns and we
They've been
addressed
addressed.
those. That was
Put me
the
down as
gist
a
of it.
volunteer, I'll help you.
Perfect,
I'll have George cut the
I'll
fish.
fish.
perfect.
He was all alone last year.
He said he has a friend that's supposed to help, so.
Okay, thank you, Mary Lee.
Uh-huh.
Utilities, Tony?
Okay, we last met on the 19th of February, under old business, the Shaker Park well, which you heard about earlier, the
No, we
reservoir,
want
which
to
you
have
heard
a
about
regular
earlier,
workshop, but we're
rescue
gonna
water
need
pressure,
to
you heard
fix
about
it
earlier.
so that we can do it.
Fletcher's Grove surcharge, this is a big one. It was determined that there
Yeah,
is
it's
no,
only the last
there is no
Sunday,
surcharge, and we're not gonna need to make that repair.
It's
So
normally
that was
the
taken
other
off.
one, and that's-
They did make a recommendation, maybe some type of alarm, monitoring system in that manhole just in case. Let's see, under new business, we discussed the 7-year plan to implement, we're on year 3, we already talked about that in the budget process. The BMUC felt that we already had a lot of projects on the go, so prioritization of new structure, infrastructure, they said take the alternate 40 loop out. It's not gonna fix the dead water issue, they recommend a chlorine pumping station to correct that, and we'll need to get estimates and get back. Lead inventory, town of Boonsboro got the inventory, finished, and we just need to keep moving forward with that. We don't know when MDE is gonna give us the deadline, but it's not gonna go away. The big thing is that, oh my God, what's, Colin, thank you, Schanberger. Colin Schanberger is up in May, and he will not be continuing on with another term, so. I know, it was a big loss, but, BMUC members are supposed to be trying to get a replacement, figure that out, we'll see if we can. We meet again on March the 19th at 7, I'm sorry, March the 19th at 6 o'clock right there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got any questions? Planning, Eric?
Yes, very quickly, we did meet on the 25th, and Drew started to touch on it a little bit this evening. I think he indicated there's a meeting tomorrow. with regard to a slight change to the final plat for the McElwee, that whole topic out there. The town is to take control of the stormwater management area, which is a pretty good piece of what Mr. McElwee will be giving away. So be about where his house is now. And then we talked about the site plan requirements, again, that Drew presented this evening, that they said they liked what they saw, they wanted it to come to us, and we talked about it this evening. That was the only two notes from the very short meeting.
EDC,
It was a 3-hour meeting. I attended the first hour, then I caught way to planning, and, I'm sorry, to personnel, and then I had to go to police meeting, so I don't have the minutes. The only thing I'm gonna tell you is that there is a networking breakfast on Wednesday morning at the Legion, bacon and eggs, and we're gonna talk about Rotary Club, which is one of my favorite topics, so everything you ever wanna know about the Rotary Club.
okay, thank you, sir. Environmental Commission.
We didn't meet in February.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Consult with staff, consult.
Consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential.
I have a second.
I think Terry did.
Terry second.
Have a motion, and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those the same, motion carries.